Would you like to support the Insiders? Pick up some merch now. Support us by getting a shirt, a hoodie, support Abby's window, get a Shenanigans shirt, whatever you'd like. Pick up some merch now. Insiders Pro Wrestling. The link is at the end of the video.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. And that can only mean that we are here tonight for an episode of Between the Ropes. And man, we just seem to say this every single time we do this show. But again, we're just loaded, packed with stuff to talk about tonight. Beyond last week and the week before, and we had a huge pay-per-view we watched this Friday. It's really being talked about everywhere, which is amazing. Busted Open devoted like a whole first hour of its show to Hard to Kill, so that's really cool. A lot of people are chatting up Impact, which is a great thing. Lots of stuff to talk about. Of course, we're going to hit on the Vince stuff. We're going to hit on some Bray stuff. We've got a lot to do tonight on this show. Jeff, what's going on, man? How are you doing today? Want to talk about, though, right after we get our introductions out of the way, about our brand new memberships. And again, thank you to Jason Peace. We can see Peace in there for becoming a member of our channel. And so Jeff got that all set up for us last night, and the memberships are live.
They are live, and I'm excited about it. I guess we can go ahead and get that out of the way and then say hello to everyone. But
yes, yeah.
So we do have channel memberships now. If you are on our YouTube watching this, as you are, if you are over here, we do have a few people from other places. So welcome to you too. But we've got the channel membership. So the first level is the Corporals, $3.99 per month, and you see there what you get on screen. You get shout outs, like we shouted out Jason Peace for being a member, the first member. So thank you, Jason Peace. And access to members only watch alongs. Then we also have the Sergeants, the $6.99 per month membership, and there you see you still get the same thing in terms of the shout outs and everything. You still get that. You still get the badges, like you see Jason Peace, he has a badge. Then you'll get a screen. So we'll have a screen like this up that shouts you out by name. We'll have all of our members in this tier listed. You get the monthly watch along. You get a private Ask the Insiders, which we'll do a monthly segment. That's going to be kind of cool to do. So, take advantage of that if you can. That'll be a lot of fun. And then we have one more level, the lieutenant's level, $10.99 per month. Actually, it's $9.99 now, because you wouldn't allow me to change it. So you get $1 off. So
There
hey,
you go, right off the bat.
so right off the bat, you get $1 off, and with this one, you'll get to moderate a sell or no sell, or come on and share your grievance. You can do that on camera or just audio. That's fine. You'll still get the private Ask the Insiders, which is kind of cool. But then you also get to, if you're a Bray Wyatt fan, discuss your theories. Jeremy is in the sergeant's tier now. Thank you, Jeremy.
Ooh,
Just joined.
wow, there you go.
Thank you
you
so
very
much,
much. That's
Jeremy.
awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
yeah, so that's what you get to do with that level, and yeah, we're looking forward to it, doing some new things. We got some cool stuff, coming up. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been a long time coming, basically, and we and again, yeah, thank you, Jeremy, for becoming a new member of our channel. Jason Peace as well, thank you. But yeah, this is we're looking forward to it. We think that a lot of people do this, we know, but we're trying to do things a little bit differently, and trying to make it so you just get, anybody can give you a badge and stuff like that. We're trying to make it a little more interactive. So that's why we did what we did in those other tiers, because on Abby's, we know that so many people like to get their theories shared on that show, and it's just difficult when you have that many people in the chat sometimes to see everything. And I'm just see that from watching the show. So this way you can do that. And the same thing with being a moderator. And we'll tell you about that later when we do sell or no sell, and we'll kind of tell you what you'd be doing if you select that one, and you could end up being a moderator of the sell or no sell segment, which is pretty cool. Again, if you've ever watched shows like Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, when they do that, they have a moderator there as well for those. So similar to that, but again, it's just something a little more interactive. So yeah, so we're excited about it. We hope you are too. And it's really, really excited to be going through with some new stuff for you guys. So thank you to those who joined and who will ahead of time. All right, let's see. We're going to welcome people in a sec, just to get to what we're going to be doing going forward. So tomorrow night we'll not have Abby's, correct, Jeff? We're gonna plan.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I know Jeff has some business to do or take care of, and so they're gonna have Abby's, but we're just gonna let you know when it's gonna be. So it'll be another day at and so we'll get you the date and time as soon as we can for Abby's window.
Pretty sure we're gonna go on a Wednesday.
Okay.
And we'll get everyone the time, but yeah, I'm doing I'm gonna be attending a virtual memorial tomorrow for my friend. So so I apologize for not being able to do Abby's tomorrow as regularly scheduled, but I'm hoping that everyone understands.
Oh, absolutely.
Why.
Yeah, absolutely. That, of course, Jeff's friend. We spoke about this on the show the other night. Who unfortunately passed away, and so yeah. But yeah, we will we'll let you know when Abby's will take place on Wednesday night, and then of course we're back on Thursday for Impact Wrestling. That is the follow up to Hard to Kill. So that'll be a big show about going forward to see what happens next, essentially. And then Friday we're back for SmackDown, and it's getting closer and closer to the Royal Rumble. So some big stuff that happened on this past SmackDown, and I know it's going to get bigger and bigger as it gets closer and closer to the Rumble, which, by the way, we will do that too. So we will have watch-alongs for all the stuff for this week, and then, of course, we'll be doing the Royal Rumble as well. Okay, so that's what we've got coming up. Let me welcome some folks in, and we will get started with all of the stuff we've got to do. So, of course, we've got Jason Peace, we mentioned, is here. Hello, Jason. Brandon Wayne Lewis, what's up? We've got Derek, of course, in the chat. We've got Dylan. Moda's here. Bonus Baby is here. Gary Graham, hello to you. Moda's talking about the boys. I'm keeping very quiet about that, Moda. I can't. Yeah. I don't. These playoffs have been really weird so far. Jeff and I were talking about it before the show, and you know, I can't get excited about that because they just tend to let me down, and I'm very reservant about going into that game. So it's just going to be a wait and see. Let's see. We got Newman Company is here. What's up? We got Jeremy, of course, the new member of the channel. We've got James Grant. Bonkers LFC. We've got Conrad. What's up, Conrad? How are you? Buffalo wins, of course, today. Big win for Conrad there. Started off a little shaky. But hey, that's the playoffs, and you got the win. Dana is here. Craig Backlund is here. SmackDown was awesome. Glad I was there to see that you were there live. Wow, that's awesome. We got Brandon. We have Big Dan. We have really just like when people post Impact spoilers, just that's something that would have been so cool. Spoiled for me. Rant over. Yeah, I guess. But I can't stand. Don't get me started on spoilers. Michael King is here. What's up, Michael? John Kessler is here. We've got John G is here. We've got I said Brandon Wayne Lewis. I think Mark is here. We have RK Shuttlesworth from Twitch. We have Sean Rousset. Win is a win. Yeah, that's all you need to do in the playoffs. And yes, okay. I think I got everyone. All right. So we are going to get into it because, again, we've got a lot of stuff to cover. There's been a lot of things that you guys have been talking about on Twitter that you kind of were waiting to know what we thought about things. I know SmackDown neither of us could do or watch because we were doing the Hard to Kill watch along. So we'll discuss a little bit of that today as we go. So King Chris is here as well. Hello to you, King Chris. All right, Jeff. What are we going to get started with tonight?
Well, we'll get started with this. I know that you know, we'll talk about this when we have Abby's later in the week, but I know you wanted to share some thoughts on Bray Wyatt's promo from Friday night.
Yeah, you know, I watched it after Hard to Kill was over, and I really tried to avoid the spoilers and all that kind of stuff. And I was glad I did. It was really, and I posted on the Twitter right after I saw it. From start to finish, it was probably the coolest thing we've seen yet. And the reason I say that is because, I mean, yes, we got the QR code that took you to the clips from the Funhouse. And of course, everybody probably lost it when they saw Funhouse Bray and they said, welcome to hell. And then you got the Fiend. And so, of course, everybody wants to see him back. But seeing him come out, of course, just shattered the same way he normally does. But instead of the usual, he went and sat in that rocking chair. And it was been a while since we saw that rocking chair. Very significant piece for Bray Wyatt. And he sat down and he just kind of talked about things. And the things I took from that are kind of the things that I shared on Twitter. So you'll pardon me if I'm going to go to my notes a little bit. Firstly, I will say this was kind of cool. LA Knight talking about the pitch black match, something new in the making. There was something to the point of, I don't know what the hell this is, what it's going to be. Every indication I've been given is that this is going to be a kick-ass street fight and be kind of in the dark. I don't know what the lighting is going to be, how it's going to work, what other kind of factors or elements are going to come into play. All I know is it's going to be a fight at the Royal Rumble. So that's from LA Knight. And then Bray's quotes. And this is the one that really, really kind of hit home. Well, first of all, I love this one. Talking directly to LA Knight, says, LA Knight, know this, son. Gives it the know this, son.
Mm-hmm.
When the lights go out, you should run. And that's the first time we heard that from him in quite a while. So, and as Jody pointed out on Twitter, this was cult leader Bray. There was no doubt.
No
The
doubt.
way he talked, the way he presented himself, and that this was definitely cult leader Bray. And this is what I found the most fascinating of all. And I'm sure again Jeff and Jody and Dom will probably talk about this, but I wrote on Twitter, did Bray Wyatt reveal the Wyatt 6? It sure seems that way. I am the color red in a world full of black and white. So he's talking about himself. Okay, that's number one. I am the eater of worlds. That's number 2. I am Uncle Howdy, which was a shocker to me as well. That's number 3. I am him is number 4. We all know who him is. Of course, he's referring to the Fiend. I am the nagging conscience of a world who has thrown itself away to moral monsters. And you kind of think that that's Funhouse Bray. Nagging conscience of a world who has thrown itself away to moral monsters. And then finally and lastly, he said, I am Bray Wyatt. Very, very cool there. So many people. And I love Jeff, I am Uncle Howdy.
Yep.
I love that because so many people are so fixated on who he is. Who is he? Who is it? Who is he behind the mask? Who is he? And I've stood since the beginning by this, that he's not real. I stood by the fact that that is a figment of Bray's imagination, and that is Bray Wyatt. And I've said that from the start. People are confused. Well, how can that be? He was in the ring. Because much like a movie about people with personalities, you are watching that unfold. You're seeing what he sees. So that's what we're getting. So we're getting shown the things that we would see if we were watching a film. And I still believe that I don't think we are ever going to find out who's wearing that mask because we're not supposed to. And maybe during the Pitch Black Mask match, maybe we will see Howdy there at some point and see maybe even LA Knight kind of rips the mask off a little and you see Bray's face. That's how I think that they're going to how it's going to be. It's very much seems like that. Or why would he have said I am Bray Wyatt? Or I mean I am Uncle Howdy.
Uncle Howdy.
Yeah. So I just love this. There was so much to play with here, and I think it was just a really, really cool promo and a big thing that we've gotten through this whole thing and how they're getting ready. And also, how about the what was the line about the baptism at Royal Rumble? That's big. That's big because what is it going to be? And now everybody's thinking it's going to be the Fiend coming back, maybe, or maybe we get something else altogether. But I just thought that it was an absolutely amazing promo, Jeff. If you have any thoughts, I absolutely welcome to share.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them I'll say, like some of the deeper stuff I'll say for Abby.
Yeah.
But I just think that let's go ahead and get the elephant. Address the elephant in the room. This isn't for everybody.
Right.
Period. So not everybody's going to like it. Yep. And that's okay. That's perfectly fine. I happen to be one of the people who loves it.
Yep.
I think in terms of, are we seeing, and I think James Grant said this, are we seeing things from Bray's perspective? And I think, like you've said, like, Jody, many others, yes, I think that's what we're seeing. The question becomes, and I'll kind of segue this into Abby's because I plan on asking this question. The question becomes, what do we get following Royal Rumble? What do we get? Do we get the Fiend?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we get something new? Do we get a glimpse of the Fiend and he plays a part in this match, but we get something new at the very end, like James said again, rebirth? A rebirth isn't necessarily a reforming of the same character. A rebirth can be a combination of everything that we've gotten to this point
Yep.
into one entity. So I think I think those are the questions that we have to ask, and I plan on asking that on Wednesday. So
There
tune
you
in.
go. Segue. Yeah. And we're going to let the majority, like I said, of that discussion to Abby's window, of course, as we would. But yeah, I just wanted to get my thoughts out there because I don't get to be on there often. And so I just wanted to let my thoughts out there because I really, really thought it was very, very deep and very, very good. And like Jeff said, there are a ton of people that are crapping on it, the ton. And look, it's going to be, this stuff is always going to be polarizing because you either get into this supernatural stuff or you don't. And there are absolutely people who don't. LaGreca hates it. Absolutely hates it. And he craps on it every chance he gets. Doesn't like the fact that he got Alexa involved in it. He thinks Alexa should go their own way and change and go back to the goddess. Everybody's going to have their own opinion. Not everybody liked, people respected the Undertaker, of course, as a wrestler, but not everybody liked everything he did. The ministry didn't go over well with a lot of people. The stuff that he did, of course, with Stephanie and all that kind of thing didn't go over. And a lot of things Mick Foley didn't necessarily go over with everybody either. So there's going to be people that are going to like it, people that don't. We're big horror fans. And obviously this kind of stuff, somebody mentioned Split in the chat too. And yeah, I've said that from the start. When he went into all this stuff, it's multiple personalities. It's somebody with different personalities. That's exactly what Split is. And we've said that from the beginning. So yeah. But yeah, he's 100% right. It's not for everybody. I know, though, we have a lot of Bray fans on our channel, and a lot of people that love this. So if you do, it's progressing. It is a slow burn. There's a lot of people who don't like that either. Well, everybody, where's the match? Where's the match? Well, you're going to get a match. It's just taking a little bit, and that's just how it is. So, but I love it. And so I agree with Jeff. I think it's awesome. I think that the slow burn is really cool because the burn is starting to turn a little bit into a fire now. And I think we're really going to see what's that. I think that match is going to be really cool. There's people that are crapping on that too, saying, oh, it's going to be a glorified ad for Mountain Dew. Whatever. Everybody can enjoy what they can enjoy, and that's why there's a ton of different wrestling out there. So whatever. Okay, let's see. I think the pitch black match will be in black or purple cage with spotlights to see the match. James says Rebirth, Alexa, Bray Wyatt, Royal Rumble. I never got info, so I could pay for the subscription. We had it up a little bit ago, Anthony. It is on literally every form of our social media. So it's on YouTube. It's actually it's on the group or the community part of the YouTube page. It's posted on the Facebook page on the group. It's posted on Twitter, and it's fixated to our Twitter page, so we have it spotlighted there. It's also on our Instagram, and it's on TikTok. It is literally on everything we have. So if you didn't get to see it, we'll put it up a little bit later. So if you're going to hang around with us, we'll put it back up for you a little bit later as we go. But if you haven't seen it, we'll pop it up again for you. But it is literally out there on every form of social media that we have. So let's see. It's a reference to Split. We are seeing what Bray sees. Cannot wait for tomorrow with Alexa. Figment of your imagination. Hope LA Knight wins the pitch black match. Oh, good Lord, Mona. Mona wants to get tossed right out of here.
Moda's coming in hot.
Moda's coming in hot. Yeah. Anthony's visually impaired, so it's hard for me. No, it's okay.
I just dropped the link in the chat, Anthony.
There you go.
So if that doesn't work out for you, I can send something. We can try to get it to your Facebook Messenger. I see that's what you said.
I have sent stuff to people that are visually impaired as well through our Facebook Messenger. So we can do that as well. So just let us know, whatever you need. Let us know. We'll get it to you. Hey, Jesse Callan, how are you? It's all good. Yeah, I could send it on Facebook Messenger. It's no problem. So, actually, yeah, we'll get it figured out. We'll get it to you. Okay, so that's the Bray part. So Jeff, we'll go past that, and of course, the rest of that discussion will happen on Abby. So join him on Wednesday. What do we have up next?
Well, I never did play the video bumper of what.
It's all right.
But Um, but yeah, so Vince McMahon returns amidst
Wow.
sale rumors. So
Right.
yeah,
This was the absolute biggest story in wrestling this entire past week. And it did not go away. It did not burn down. It did not. It's been all over the place. And man, I so tried to just calm everybody down. I put out a video on our channel that I talked about the whole thing when Stephanie resigned. But listen, people are going to feel what they want to feel. And that's just going to be it. You've got to, I guess you got to come to grips with this in your own way. But I will still say this. From what we've read, yes, Stephanie stepped down. Everybody thought, oh boy, now their walls are really coming crashing down. But sometimes you just have to look at things logically. And the one thing you have to remember is that Stephanie stepped in for Vince when Vince left. Stephanie wasn't with the company before that. So that's what you have to recall. She stepped in to be co-CEO. Okay. And now, is it really probably not needed? Now, the other thing there could be so many factors. And number one, Stephanie just had surgery done. She just went and had ankle surgery done. It was on Twitter. So the other thing is Stephanie's also a mom. And she just may want to spend time with her kids and raise her kids. So it's very difficult to be a CEO of a company and be home with children. So there's so many factors that could be involved here that we just don't know and we're not privy to. The Vince stuff is going to come to a sale. Okay. That's what he came back for. And that's what this is going to be. He's selling the company at some point. And all the people are saying, now I'm talking about reputable stuff, not dirt sheets, not things like that. The reputable business companies, so Wall Street Journal, people from that side of it are all saying to expect a sale in the next 5 months or so. So that's where we're heading. The question is where is it going to be? There was rumors the night of about Saudi. Oh, it was sold to Saudi. It was sold. Wow, did that go around? No, that was absolutely 100% false. If they do decide to sell it there, the reason they would do that is because he wants to make it a private company again and not public. Which means, before you panic about that one, that's not necessarily maybe a bad thing either, because if you're private, you are not held to what the stockholders of the company need you to hold your standards by, meaning attitude era kind of stuff can be brought back. They can't do that with stockholders because the shareholders can say, no, we don't want that kind of content. So you can't do that stuff. So remember, it's not necessarily all bad. There are bidders out there that have been talked about, Disney being one of them, which makes some sense because they already own Fox anyway and their TV properties. Comcast was being talked about. Comcast, I believe, Comcast, and then there's NBC Universal, which of course owns Peacock, which of course owns USA Network, which would make sense as well. Amazon has been mentioned. Amazon wants to get into sports. They have the Thursday night football games. They want to be a major player in sports. So that could be another possibility. Nick Khan is the one who's talking to some of these places, and he's talking to Disney right now or in the last couple of days. So look, this is what's going to happen. Vince came back to sell his company and make sure that no one else did it but him. So that is the reason that this is all happening. Now, is talent going to be comfortable? And I'll let Jeff talk a bit more about this too, because he's been backstage in wrestling corporations. I'm sure they're not. It's just like any other job, Jeff, the way I look at it. And when you hear that your company's being sold, it's not a comfortable feeling because you're always kind of thinking, and they're not upstairs with the shareholders, so they don't know what's going on. But I guess in the back of your mind, you're human. So of course you're going to think, well, is my job going to be affected by this? How is this going to affect me and my family? Am I going to be on the chopping block and stuff like that? So sure, there are people that are going to be upset and worried about this, and maybe rightfully so. But then the other stuff, like the stuff with Triple H, there has been no indication or no intention made that Triple H is leaving or stepping down. In fact, Road Dogg was interviewed as a very good friend of his, saying he would be shocked if Triple H steps down or leaves. So that's where it stands. And like I said, everybody was going immensely insane about this. The other thing you have to keep in mind, when someone comes back to a business who's been accused of several instances of sexual allegations, and the person goes back into the limelight, and this is probably why the stockholders recommended that he leave in the first place, because when you're not there, you're out of the spotlight. When you come back, if you're a sports guy, you can kind of liken it to Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson was accused by so many women of doing bad things, comes back, given a big contract by the Cleveland Browns, and he comes back and has an interview, and everything comes up, and he just, there are so many stories about him and things like that. Well, you're probably going to see other allegations coming up as well. There's already two people in the members of the board who are now going after Vince because of him returning. So this is an ongoing story. This isn't going to resolve itself for a good while. And like I said, if I were all of you, and I can't tell you what to do, but if I were all of you, I would kind of just take a breath. It's not going to affect what we are watching, at least not right away. So that's my thoughts about it, Jeff. What say you?
The one thing that I'll say is this. You have to try to exercise a little bit of caution when it comes to things like this being put out there. Now, there are a lot of theories and all kinds of stuff that tends to happen with all of these kinds of things.
Yep.
From a PR standpoint, I would say that I cannot stand Vince McMahon being back.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sends a horrible message to many people. I think it's extremely egotistical of him, but he's Vince McMahon. He's an egomaniac. So, and I'm, sorry, not sorry. But yeah, I would just say, if for the women in the locker room, him coming back couldn't have been comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go to the rumors of the Saudi deal. And when that first started getting reported, I was skeptical, if I'm being honest. And yes, Jesse, it turns green for every tier. Whatever membership tier you get, any members, it shows your name in green. Sorry, I saw that. I have a little bit of ADHD right now. But when it came to the Saudi things, like I was skeptical. I immediately started thinking about Sami Zayn because of what that could mean for him, but I was trying my best to not overreact to it. And I think we had a lot of overreaction. I think that some was justified. I think, given the track record of Saudi Arabia, now I don't want to cast aspersions on everyone, but just kind of the track record of some of the things that have been done there. I get it and I understand, but I think my kind of conspiracy theory about that is I think that was floated out there to see what the reaction would be. That's true. That's truly what I think. Now I could be wrong, and they could still sell to the Saudis, and that would not make me happy at all. I personally, I think Comcast, which owns NBC Universal, owns Peacock, and all of that stuff. I think they are in the in a good position. I wouldn't be surprised if Disney is at the table. Um, and I've said this. I think I even said this on the Tigs last week for our predictions. I think Amazon could be a major player in this. Like I really do. I think they
Yep.
could. Um, those are where I want to go. Now, we're going to talk about this again later in the show. I'm going to bring up something that's going to piss a bunch of people off. But just because I want to play devil's advocate, I want to throw out another name during the sell or no sell segment, because we do have this as a topic there.
Yep.
I'm going to bring up something else, and it's going to I hope things don't spontaneously combust, but I'm just bringing it up as a hypothetical. So don't shoot the messenger. I'm just trying to get us to think and talk. That's all I'm going to say until we get there.
Segue. There's so many factors involved. And sure, I with what Jeff said about the women, female talent, female employees in the building. I mean, I'm a fan of the Boston Celtics, and this is one of the reasons why their coach was let go. There was allegations from, I think it was one or two women in the building, and the Celtics felt the need to put that, or to take the coaching spot away from Ime Udoka, and he will probably never get it back. And it was for the same instance. So yes, is it unsensitive? Yep. One of the things that I found, and we'll end this here, and we'll come back to it in that other segment, is somebody put a question out there saying, why do you think he did this? Money or power? Now, if you know Vince, it could be a little bit of both, but with him, more than likely, it's about power. More than likely, it's about power. And I think, more than anything else, what probably surprises me about it is the fact that I think a lot of people just figured, because his dad gave the company to him, that he would give the company down, or pass the company down to his kids. But it looks as if that's not going to happen. So I think that may be what surprised me the most about it, is that, and there were so many people. Mickie James mentioned about Stephanie, and how she was so happy that it was her that was the co-CEO, and that she deserved it, everything she put into it and things like that. And now she resigned. So that's not going to happen. Shane wants no part of it. At least he's never given any indication that he does. So it is going to go to someone else at some point. Vince won't live forever. At least we think he won't. And so it is going to go to somebody else, and it won't be a McMahon. So I think that's what kind of surprises me the most about it. So, all right. That's all we're going to talk about it now. We'll come back to it at that other segment, of course. And, but yeah, there's rumors everywhere. There will continue to be rumors everywhere. But like Conrad mentioned up above as well, guys, logically, sales of a company cannot happen that quickly. So that whole thing with Saudi was ridiculous, because that would have had to been in motion for months and months and months. So things like that cannot happen. There has to be the U.S. government would need to be involved. There's a whole bunch of loopholes and things that have to be gone through to sell to a foreign company like that. That just doesn't happen overnight. So whoever dropped that was ridiculous, because it's just not going to happen that way. So. While WWE is trying to sort out this mess and drama, it's great for Impact to reset, to get their promotion back together at a leveling playing field, benefits them perfectly. Vince returning is good for TNA. Would be interesting if AEW and WWE merge. I don't agree with that. Not at all. Not at all. I don't. I know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking it could be like the X-Men versus the Avengers, or it could be like DC versus Marvel kind of a thing. Yuck. No. No.
I'll just go ahead and say it since it was brought up. I'm gonna bring that up during the Sell or No Sell. I'm
Okay.
not saying I agree with it necessarily or
Okay.
want to see it, but I'm just gonna ask some questions about it.
Yeah. Not a fan of that. Not a fan of that happening. Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next topic. Michael King. There seems like there's some people having trouble getting to the subscription thing. I don't know why that would be. I'm pretty sure all you get is Michael King. A couple people have said it. I think all you have to do is you have to go to your Google. It could be because you're on here, is what I'm maybe thinking, because you're in the stream now, so you're using your YouTube account. The only thing there is really a link that just takes you to our channel, and on the channel page, and in fact, Jason Peace, you're in the chat. So if you would just let everybody know what you did exactly to try to do that, or to do that. I believe all it is just going to the page, and it should offer you. Go ahead.
I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I hadn't planned on doing this, so
Okay.
I apologize if the screen looks a little bit wonky.
It's all good.
But I just want to show people, just so you can kind of see.
Oh, there you go.
So this is the. Didn't mean to blow it up that much, and I didn't mean to show us because it's weird to see myself. But what you should be able to do is you should see that join button next to the icon, next to our logo. You should be able to see the join button, and from there you should be able to click on that, and it should take you to the tiers. You select your tier, and then you kind of go from there.
Now, I would imagine, Jeff, that they would have to have some form of payment there too.
Correct.
So that could be another thing.
Correct.
Yeah. So obviously there is payment for it. So you have to have some sort of payment. Now, we would have that to set up, because I subscribe to Impact Wrestling. So I have the the $4.99 that gets taken out of my YouTube account for that. If you've never done that before, you're probably going to have to put some sort of payment in there, credit card, whatever it might be. But that could be why as well. If you're having trouble, then it could be. I did it, joined the membership while on the stream. Okay. Yeah. Jeremy did it. So there you go. Hopefully that helped. But that's pretty much it. You just go in to join. But if it gives you some kind of other screen or something like that, it could be because you don't have payment stuff set up. Google Pay or credit card. Yes. Yep. Thank you, Little Silver. But yeah, it should be that simple. So, okay, moving on. Let's get past that. And again, we'll revisit that a little bit later. What is next?
Are we seeing some tensions rise with the bloodline, Joe?
Just a little. You know what, Jeff? I gotta say, I love the Paul Heyman and Sammy interactions. And that, I don't know, what does he call Sammy? It's almost like Booby, like something like that.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And of course, that whole segment with him this past week, and he's telling him that he was the only one there, right? Oh, I'm it, and you're on your own, basically. But then of course it turned out that they showed up and they interfered in his match anyway, which probably didn't sit all that well with Sammy, I wouldn't think, because he kind of felt as if, okay, I'm going to take care of this myself, and then they came out and made it so that he didn't anyway. So does that not show trust? Does that not show that they have faith in him to do it? I don't know, but yes, there is starting to be, Jeff, a chink or a crack in the armor, so to speak. How they're going to go about this is really, really interesting, and we're going to see something happen with that match with Kevin Owens and the Tribal Chief. A lot of people are talking out there about, is he going to somehow cost him that match, Sami Zayn, cost Roman that match? I don't know. I don't think he'd lose the title at the Rumble. I think they would, of course, save that for WrestleMania. But yeah, it's getting good. It's getting good. And every week we're seeing little things happen. Of course, the Roman thing when he snapped on Sammy and then he apologized. And, so it's, it kind of looks like the tribal chief is getting a little bit, I don't know, Jeff, looks like he's kind of teetering a little bit. He's not so, usually so calm, and he has the smile, and he's I don't know, is it Kevin Owens getting in his head a little bit? But in the back of his mind, does he think a little bit that he can't trust Sami Zayn? I don't know. Whatever it is, it's very interesting, and it's probably going to come to a boil at Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I can't wait. One of the things that's gonna be as cool as the ascent of just when I think it's like, okay, this was cool to put together. Like
Yep.
this is really cool. The decline of this group is going to be even cooler to watch.
Oh yeah.
The fallout from all of this, the breakup, it's going to be ugly, it's going to be messy. Basically everything that you really want in reality TV,
Yep.
you're going to get in the storyline.
Yep.
You're going to see some furniture moving, you're going to see some people getting pissed off at each other and all that stuff, and it's going to be cool.
Yep.
It's funny because I honestly think that I think Roman's jealous. I think he's jealous of Sammy. Conrad just said, "I'm going to be sad when it happens. It took the place of Diener's possibility."
Oh man,
it's going to be sad in some ways, because if you think about what this group has done over this time, I mean, really thinking about starting with Roman, and it took Roman like basically doing a 180 with his character.
Yep.
Like you're starting to see, you were starting to see the changes of that, and then he comes into power, and then he gets, the Usos on board, and then he obviously you get Paul Heyman attached and all of that, and it's just great. But I think, and Lil Silver brought this up, the way to break up a faction like this is for it to implode.
Oh yeah.
And because no outside force at this moment
can beat it,
has proven that they can beat it.
Yep.
So the best way to do it is have it implode. And honestly, I really desperately hope that this ends up with Sami Zayn winning the Royal Rumble.
Oh, I do too.
And challenging Roman at WrestleMania.
Yep.
I really, really hope that that's the case.
It would be the ultimate storyline, because they're building up a face with Sami Zayn. Crowd would absolutely be over if you, and we asked ourselves this, Jeff, when this whole the bloodline started. We talked about this, and probably on this show, who is going to be that face that they're going to build up, that is going to be able to take a big pillar of a heel like Roman down, right? And you brought up a good point too. It's very similar to a gangster movie. Who takes out the head of the table? It's someone usually from the inside of the room. It's not somebody from the outside. It's usually someone from the inside that perhaps the head doesn't expect. And that's usually what ends up happening. Someone betrays him. My goodness, this goes back to almost everything that even in mythology. Who betrays the rulers? Judas and Caesar, right? Like this goes back to everything.
Mm-hmm.
In every type of mythology, they're taken down by one of their best friends, someone that they know and they trust. And that's, I think, exactly what's going to happen with this. And when it does, boy, oh boy, what a great storyline they would
Yeah.
tell. And I mean, I would imagine Roman might go away for a while if he does lose the title and take a well-deserved break, by the way.
Yeah.
He's been out there a lot. And so, yeah, it's just really, and I agree with you. You can, a lot of people are saying, well, what about Cody? I mean, at this point, I kind of think they might have gone maybe in a different direction with him because of of him being out, and they kind of maybe had to change things up a little bit. And so right now, to me, it does make the most sense that Sammy wins the Rumble. And if it happens the way I would think it does, he may back into it. Something may happen that causes him to get a pin somehow, and he may win it beside himself. And he may not even have thought that he would win it, but he may win it beside himself. And then what's he going to do? Well, I mean, what's he going to do? Is he going to turn around and say to Roman, well, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to give it up. He's not going to do that. This is Sammy's shot to get the heavyweight title. So yeah, this is really some brilliant writing.
It is. And I two things I want to say real quick to that. One, I'm not into the comparisons. I'm not into, well, Roman's better than this guy, this better. I'm not into that. What I will say is this. Since he's come back, Roman Reigns has been one of the brightest spotlights in wrestling, period, since he's come back. For anyone that has watched this man throughout his career, you cannot tell me that he hasn't improved across the board. His in-ring skills have improved. It's obvious that his mic skills have, succotash to what he's doing now.
Yeah, night and day.
I mean, it's night and day. Let's give him his flowers while we can here, and because he's gonna go away, he's gonna do the movies, he's gonna do all that stuff.
Yeah, he is.
If there's anything that you've learned from any of this, from this character change from Roman, is that he's a bona fide star.
Yep.
And I don't just mean in the wrestling ring, I mean in the entertainment world.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I would say is this, and this is how I would do the Rumble thing. I would have the Usos try to stack the deck to make sure that Solo and Sammy are the ones near the end. And somehow, some way, Sammy gets mixed up into it and mistakenly eliminates Solo.
Okay.
And if you really want to see the implosion start and accelerate, that would really get it going.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love it. And everything Jeff said was right. Listen, I was never a Roman fan. I'd be the first one to say that. I was one of those guys who was like, don't force feed someone to me. I don't like that. And I wasn't a big fan of his, but Jeff's 100% right. You got to give credit where credit is due. He definitely has improved himself in every which way. And yeah, like Jeff said, he's not going to be around probably very much longer. He's going to be in movies. He's gotten a bunch of movie offers to be in. I mean, can you imagine a guy like him, Marvel, DC, any of those superhero things. So plus all the fantasy stuff that's going on out there would certainly consider him for a role. So yeah, you better enjoy this while it lasts, because once this is over, sure, they'll still have the Usos, they'll still have Solo as kind of the next generation going forward. But yeah, Roman's been absolutely incredible. And so, yeah, 100%. You do have to give credit where it's due. I know a lot of us were mad and upset the way he took the title away from Bray because, You know, it was what it was. But yeah, it's just been a brilliant storyline, and we don't see this happen much, and we may never see it again. These storylines don't go on and on like this, like they used to. And the fact that they did this and were able to bring Sammy into it and completely kind of give it a breath of fresh air instead of it becoming boring over the last like year or so, you know, kudos to them. And you know what, you got to hand it to Jeff to probably Paul Heyman, because I know probably a lot of it is behind a lot of it as well. So
Paul Heyman, Paul E. Dangerously, whatever you want to call him, just call him a freaking genius when it comes to wrestling, because you put him with anyone, is money.
Yeah,
It's absolute money. So
really is. That's why I said I think you should go with Ronda Rousey. That'd be a really good combination, I believe, if Ronda's going to stay.
Yeah.
All right. Roman did the same thing that The Rock did. He became himself with the volume turned up, and that's how top talent gets over. I found Roman to be more boring than watching paint dry or grass grow before this character. Yeah, you're not alone, Jesse. Like I said, I wasn't ever a big fan. I wasn't a huge fan of Roman Reigns. I never was. But I have to hand it. I love the storyline, and I love what he's doing. And he's fantastic in that role. It's really, whoever came up with this and said, you know what, you're going to be like the Godfather. Whoever came up with that, it was brilliant. And whether that was Roman's idea, whether it was partly his, partly Paul's, whoever, it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to miss it when it's over too, because it was fantastic. And one of the major bright spots of WWE. So. All right, man. What's next?
Well, speaking of the tribal teeth, as James Chadwick calls them, he's going to be going up against Kevin Owens for the championships at the Rumble.
Yeah. So again, this is a rematch. We had this happen actually twice in the last few years with KO and Roman. We remember those matches, right? The one was was a street fight, if I'm not mistaken. They were fighting in a backstage, I can remember, and all this kind of. He put Kevin in a guillotine. That's how he ended up beating him. But yeah. So once again, you know, it's like to Roman, Kevin's like the pest that never goes away. He's like the gnat that keeps flying around your head, that he just keeps coming back and keep coming back. One thing you'll notice is that how much better that Raw has gotten since Kevin Owens has been on that show and the centerpiece of that show. It of course was improving. It was improving all along with all the new pieces of the puzzle and the new talent that they had there. But KO now leading off that show. I mean, my God, come on. Baron Corbin, even though he was with Bradshaw, has been kind of stuck still in a rut. The last time we saw him was backstage when they had that big poker game. Then he comes out and he does something with Kevin Owens, and all of a sudden, bloop, he's like a centerpiece of attention all of a sudden because Kevin Owens is just making him better. Another guy who's very much overlooked in Kevin Owens. That it's going to be, I really don't think Kevin Owens is going to beat him. I don't think, like I said, anything can happen, but I don't think he's going to lose the title at WrestleMania. I think that this is going to, something will happen that will add to the storyline that we've just been talking about. But I don't think he will win. But man, Kevin Owens is he's just great. Him and Sammy, boy, oh boy, were they great signings by this company. And it was so great that they brought them back, because just about a year or so ago, we were hearing rumors that both of them were gone. Both of them were leaving WWE. That was the rumor. Neither one of them did, and WWE is so much better for it because they didn't. So the match should be great. And I'm sure it will be a brawl. There'll probably be shenanigans, that word that we love to use so much at some point. And I'm sure something will happen that's going to further the story, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, going to your point about Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is such a great performer, and I feel like he's underappreciated.
Yep.
He's one of the guys that a lot of people, I wouldn't include myself in this, but a lot of people don't truly understand or appreciate his impact on the product until he's not there. And then once you see he's not there, it's a glaring hole. Kevin Owens on anyone's roster makes it immensely better.
Yeah.
I mean, just point blank, period.
Yep.
Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, whatever you want to call him, El Generico, Sami Zayn, whatever you want to call them. Throughout the years, the way that they've been attached to each other, they always create magic. They always create something new.
Yep.
And listen, let's be honest. Friday night, we've seen Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in 1,000 matches against each other. They're never boring, are they? They're always entertaining. Always entertaining. So I would say with this, yeah, this is going to further the storyline. Maybe you start to add in some doubt and some speculation. Maybe they go maybe the bloodline gets involved and they go a little too far with KO.
Yep.
And Sammy could get involved that way, and that could create some friction. There are a lot of ways to go about it. But, I don't think he wins, unfortunately. I would love to see Kevin Owens win a championship again. Like, I want to see him be a champion again because I think he'd have a great run. But yeah, I don't think it happens at the Rumble, but I absolutely, positively am glad that Kevin Owens is on Raw. And it just goes to show that if Raw were 2 hours instead of 3, Raw would be, and not that it's like terrible now, it's just long.
Yeah, it is.
It's just a marathon to sit through it every Monday. Let's be honest with it.
Yeah.
But if it were 2 hours, yeah, it would be fantastic. But
that's another thing too. You go back to the whole sale thing and stuff like that could get changed.
mm-hmm.
If they go to somebody else where they take it away from USA, whoever they go to might say, nah, you know what? We're going 2 hours. That's too much.
Yeah.
So things like that could change. So,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, what KO is doing is fantastic. A great wrestler and an amazing talent. And again, it's good that they have him because listen, there just aren't that many believable things you can throw up against Roman that are going to stick.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that KO is involved in this, it just speaks volumes for him. So yeah, absolutely. He's like a boomerang, just keeps coming back, says Jesse. Yes. James Grant talking about James Grant, man, James Grant likes his predictions and he gets some things right. I don't agree with you at all on that one. I don't think he's going to show up. There's too many factors in play where he has commitments. Football's coming up. His football, what is he? XFL.
Yep.
Too many things going on. I don't think he's going to show. There was high doubt all over the place about him not coming back. Plus, why would you want to at this point interfere with this whole storyline we've just been talking about? Because if he shows up, the whole thing gets put on the back burner. And I don't think they'd want to do that because it's hard to do that. When you bring in a gigantic personality like The Rock, everyone's going to stop thinking about the Sammy thing. And then you'd have to stop it, pause it for really no reason at all because The Rock isn't winning the title and then go back to it. And I just don't think that would be best for business. Not saying it can't happen. I just don't think it will. I really don't think it will. So, all right, man, what's next?
James Grant, you have inspired a sell or no sell question for next week. So thank you very much for doing so.
Oh, there you go. Okay, nice.
Speaking of returns, though, we got one on AEW this past Wednesday, and that was Adam Cole returning from injury. Adam Cole, baby.
Adam Cole is back on AEW, and ever since he's gone there, he's been a larger than life personality, which is what Adam Cole does. He's got a huge fan base. The crowd goes crazy when he comes in. When he's out there talking, he was he was in the middle of a feud with the Elite for a little while, so he was right up there with everyone. And now he has returned, and it looks really like AEW is going in some different directions. And I will say that it's good. It's making it fresh. You have Moxley and Adam Page. They seem like they're going in different directions now. MJF, of course, and Danielson. So some different things are happening there, and it's great to see Adam Cole's back. Obviously, he was out with an injury for a good while. One of their stars that went down with injuries, and I've liked Adam Cole since NXT. I think he's great. He's a superstar. So many people love him, and getting these people back from injury is a good thing for AEW. It just brings that much more to their shows. So it's going to be great to see what Adam Cole does. Where is he going to go? What's he going to do? Is he going to get involved? I mean, so many people would love. Now, I didn't get to see. I only saw bits and pieces of AEW. So did they bring him back as a heel or a face, Jeff? Does it seem?
See, for me, this is what I'll say.
Okay.
I don't think with him it truly matters because everybody loves him.
That's true.
Yeah. I think because the crowd, like the Coug just said, they did kind of bring him back as a face there, but
okay.
Honestly, I don't think it really matters with him.
You're probably right.
The people love him. I honestly believe with Adam Cole, he could go out and you take Brian, let's say Bryan Danielson. He could go out there and kick him in the nether regions, and they would still love him.
Yeah,
because he's just, and I'm so happy to have him back. I'm so happy to have him back because if you read some of the reports out there, you really didn't know if he was going to be able to come back.
Yep.
And people thought that that he might never wrestle again. And I'm just glad that he's back. I think he is such a special talent, and I'm happy to see other people happy when it comes to him. That's all I saw on Twitter is people just absolutely happy that he was back. So yeah, I'm happy that he's back.
Whenever somebody big comes back, like a big personality returns to any wrestling promotion, it's always going to be a big event. Adam Cole is very beloved, and the reason I asked if he was going to be a face is because I'm kind of thinking in the future. I know we have Bryan Danielson next up for MJF, but do you think at some point, if they're going to turn him face, could it be where we're going to get MJF and Adam Cole, which would be that's probably a dream program for a lot of people in AEW, because two really, really good people on the mic. And I would say as a technical wrestler and a wrestler, Adam Cole is probably outshining MJF in that aspect. But I'm sure MJF is going to get better, especially if he's going to be in a program with Bryan Danielson. So, we just don't see a lot of work from MJF. So, but yeah, I'm all for it. Anytime somebody comes back, like I said, in that aspect, it's going to make that show better. Adam Cole is a nice guy. I've met him a couple times as Conrad. Deanna says, I almost cried. He's such a good guy. Remember, AEW doesn't have heels and faces despite all the heels and faces. Adam Cole is a fantastic talent and human being. It doesn't matter. He's a heelish tweener. Adam is such a nice guy, says Trav. Well, there you go. All right. Yeah. Big. Like I said, anytime somebody comes back from injury, and especially like Jeff pointed out, if it's a situation where you don't even know whether they're going to come back or not, or make it back, and then they show up, it's a big thing. And the fans absolutely love it. So good stuff. What's next?
Up next, there are reports out that Sting's contract is set to expire, which means that a lot of people are feeling like this is the end, and he will be retiring at some point in 2023, Joe.
I could certainly see it. Listen, this man is an absolute legend of the business, and he will be remembered for many, many things. The whole thing, I'll remember him most from the WCW stuff. Of course, he was in many things before that, programs with Ric Flair, and but I'll remember him most as the Crow for the WCW stuff when the NWO was there, because it was just amazing to me. It was like a fantasy story almost. You had Hogan, who was awful, and everybody it was just a horrible person, and the NWO was just tearing everything up, and then the hero. So it was like a classic villain and hero thing, and him up in the rafters, and it was so cool. And he would never speak; he just come down and just hold that bat right out in Hogan's face or whoever from the NWO, and just would never talk. And then, of course, he was gone for a while, and then he came back to AEW, and I think at this point he's done what he probably set out to do. He joined up or teamed up with Darby Allin. Darby is well over by now with the crowds, and I really don't think that Darby needs him by his side anymore, and I'm sure he knows that. But he came back. He has stated publicly that he is a big fan of Darby Allin, and that he kind of latched on with him, and I think it was a great thing. He was involved in some things that listen, I never would have thought that I would have seen him doing table spots at that age, flying through the air and going through tables. And how was he, 63?
Yep, 63. He'll be 64 this year.
I mean, I never would have thought that I would see that from him again. So the fact that we got to see him do some of these things again, sometimes it's a little hard to watch, and you're like, oh gosh, don't get hurt. But he didn't, and it was just great to see him back. One of the genuinely nice guys in wrestling and in the sport, and a legend of the sport. So if he does indeed decide to retire, hey, he deserves it. And I would think at that age, it might be time. And if he wants to stay in the business, he can always do something like announcing. He could get into something like that. He'd be good on a microphone, obviously doing things behind the scenes, kind of like Mark Henry's doing, if he wants to stick around. But he also, Jeff, could end up just being a presence in the locker room. Might be somebody backstage, or doing some stuff with creative or stuff behind the scenes that he would do very well in as well.
Mm-hmm. Before I get into my stories about Sting, when he was in the Blade Runners with the Warrior, I'll say this: if he wants to, and this is only if he wants to, if he still has a desire to be involved in wrestling, one of the pitches that I would make if I'm Tony Khan is, hey, I want you to be my talent relations person here in AEW. Because, and Coog brought this up in the chat, what he's done for Darby Allin, Darby's talented, don't get me wrong. But having Sting attached, having a mentor like that, has done wonders, I believe. And I think Sting is the type of person that could do that for the entire locker room, because I think he's one of the voices, given his longevity, given his abilities. He's one of the people that even the youngest of the young green talent that they hire in any company, he's a person that you look to and say, okay, he's been there, done that. Let me listen to him. Let me sit down, shut up, get off my phone and listen to him, because he's Sting. Obviously, seeing this guy wrestle in NWA, seeing this guy have all the classics with Vader and Ric Flair, and winning the first match, his first title against Flair, and Flair wanting to put him over because he saw what kind of star he was with the beach blonde hair, the flat top and all that, and the crazy colors. And if I'll say this, especially if you're a younger fan, or if you're a fan that wasn't exposed to NWA or a lot of Southern wrestling, Go back and watch that stuff because he was tremendous.
Yeah.
And he starting out, I mean, he was a bodybuilder, so he wasn't as polished in the ring, and he would probably even say that. And I think Nikita Koloff even probably mentioned that a little bit in his
Yeah.
interview with us.
Yep.
But what he has done over time is he's evolved. He's done so many different things in different areas as a performer, as a talent, that I think he's someone that you look at as, this is a guy that I can pattern my career after and have some success and longevity. And last thing I'll say is, it kind of speaks to how his career has played out and the things that he has done over his career, for him to be able to, at 63 and 64 years old, still have the types of matches that he's having today. It just shows the type of talent that he is. So
Generational, that's for sure.
oh, sure.
It's not something you see come around very often. So Moda says Sting lives somewhere in Dallas. I'd love to run into him sometime. I remember his UWF days. Deanna says Bonafide Darby. I agree. A wise old head that's done it all would be invaluable. Sting versus the Great Muta in Japan. NWA was the first time I was exposed to Sting. Hey, Tony's Dark Nightmares. How are you? The match I remember he was having with Kurt Angle in TNA. He had other great matches with legends back then. Blade Runners with him and the Dingo Warrior always cracked me up, but I love their intensity and colors.
Yes.
Mark said, agree, Jeff. I honestly believe that the best wrestlers are made for talent relations because they've been there before. They know what goes on inside the ring business. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be a benefit to whatever he wants to do. And like Jeff said, it all depends what he wants to do. Does he want to stay around the business? If he does, I'm sure they would have a place for him to do some things backstage and not necessarily be out on the shows. So good stuff. All right, man. What's up next?
All right. So Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter picked up a win against Toni Storm and Saraya.
They did. But I'm wondering, did this get a bit overshadowed by some overzealous people thinking that they knew a spoiler and they did not? This was a really, really good match. And yes, Hayter and Dr. Britt Baker did win. But I think so many people just had the impression that certain Mercedes was going to show up at some point. I'm not even really sure why. I remember Jeff mentioning it to me, and actually I wasn't watching at the time, and I went and turned it on because then I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, is she going to show? I don't know what made everybody think that. Yes, she was in New Japan, and I get it, the similarities where some AEW stars end up like people from New Japan end up crossing over. But once once Saraya picked Toni Storm, I thought to myself, okay, well, that at this point I think that she's going to stay in New Japan. So I think maybe a lot of this got overshadowed, and by the reaction that I saw on Twitter, it definitely did, because there were a lot of really hot people that were talking on Twitter after that happened. And why the hell? Oh my God. So many people saying Tony Khan really dropped the ball and he didn't, bring up. Listen, may have never been any plans for that. And I had mentioned, and I don't want this to get into because it's supposed to be about the tag team match. I don't want this to get into a Mercedes Moné discussion, but she never really made mention of that. It looks to me like she's going to stay in New Japan, and she's going after the title at the show that's going to be in San Jose. And so it doesn't really. In fact, I'm going to tell you another thing I heard, and I heard this from more than one person. There could be a match in Mercedes Moné's future, and it could be another champion from a certain Impact Wrestling who just won that title. So don't be shocked if you find out that Mercedes Moné ends up wrestling Mickie James, because there's been more than one person that made mention of that. So it's going to be interesting, but I don't think that people should have really expected that. I don't think there was many hints to that effect, and I think a lot of people really got mad when it didn't happen. So it's a shame, because again, it took away from what was a great women's match in a tag team, and it became a completely separate story. Jeff.
All right. let me let me add in some let me add in some things real quick for some context. So I think when people started assuming that she would show up is when they were doing their backstage promo. Dr. Britt Baker said something to the effect and mentioned being the boss and gave a little
Okay.
wink. Gave a little wink.
Okay.
All right. Now let me ask you a question, Joe. You're in the retail business.
Yep.
If you have a product and it's a similar product or in the same kind of, let's say it's a name brand product, and one product is getting a ton of looks, ton of buys, but you have a product that's in the same family. Does it behoove you to mention that popular product as a way to maybe get more eyes and attention on the other product that you have that you want to sell?
No, absolutely.
I mean, why wouldn't you capitalize
Right.
on? And Anthony Slate has joined as a member of the Lieutenants. So thank you, Anthony.
Hey, thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
There you go.
So
I was trying to help him out. Oh, I'm glad he did. I just realized that's Anthony from Facebook.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
Very cool.
awesome.
I'm glad it
Thank
worked
you,
for you. I
Anthony.
sent him the link. Cool.
Um,
Thank you.
so yeah, so I think a lot of people. Listen, I get it. It's fun to fantasy book. It's fun to say, oh, this person's going to show up. They're going to be here. They're going to be there. It's fun, but within reason, within reason. And yeah, I hate the fact that it diminished the match and the storytelling that we saw from this tag match. Because my question is not about it's not about um Mercedes. My question is about what are we going to get now with Sheeta, because she effectively cost um Tony Storm and Saraya the match by tossing in the kendo stick. So what are we going to see with Sheeta? I think that's where we need to have the conversation be. And oh, by the way, if Mercedes shows up, that's a bonus. But if not, there's some good storytelling going on here.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, let's give them kudos when they're due. You know they've got some emphasis going, and we complained about this for a couple of years with AEW about their emphasis on the women's matches and not really putting enough out there. This is a situation where they're getting 4 women involved in a tag match where there are 4 of their biggest stars. So the attention should have been on that and not necessarily on something that is outside of or something that may be going on behind the scenes. But this just goes to show you, and it's a great lesson for not listening to dirt sheets. Because again, how many times I've said this and how many times I've talked about it on our grievances segment, but they don't get a lot right. So when you're something like that, you're lucky if you're getting 50-50. And this one, if it came from there, boy, were they wrong. So yeah, it's that's why you almost have to be like, listen, watch the wrestling, enjoy the wrestling that's on in front of you, and don't necessarily worry so much about what could be happening. I liken what Mercedes is doing to what Chris Jericho did. Chris Jericho went to New Japan to reinvent himself. And he did. And now look what he's doing. So I kind of think that that's what she's doing. I think she's doing the New Japan thing for leverage for herself, because when she does decide to come back, and wherever she goes, if it's going to be AEW, if it's going to be WWE, if it's going to be Impact Wrestling, wherever, she's going to have a ton of leverage, because then she could say, hey, this is me. And I'm going to make demands now. And look at that. It goes right into the next topic. I am going to have my own leverage to work with now. And now you can go to whoever it is and say, I want this, I want this and I want this. And if you don't give it to me, you can go pound sand and I'm going to go somewhere else because I now call the shots. So that's kind of what I think she's doing with her career. And that's why I think she's doing this stuff with New Japan. So, and there it goes. We segue right into another one. It's Mercedes Moné against Kyrie, which is set for LA. I think, is it LA or is it San Jose?
LA, San Jose. It's in California.
10 of one, 5 of another. Yes. But look, she's going to be in LA, right? This is going to be a huge stage for her. And I'm betting, Jeff, maybe I'm way off base here, but I think she's going to win the title. And she's going to be walking around with that time. I don't know. Maybe not. There's always possibilities. Maybe they'll delay it a little bit and they'll have another match somewhere down the road. But I would guess that Mercedes is going to win that title. She's going to end up being a champ there, and then they're going to have somebody come after her to get it. So, listen, Mercedes is a star. You're not going to take that away from her. She's a star not only in wrestling, she's a star on television. She's been in The Mandalorian, which is absolutely huge, which, by the way, trailer during the Monday night game tomorrow, which might be the highlight of my Monday night, depending on how that game goes. But the Mandalorian season 3 trailer season 3 is going to be on tomorrow, so watch for that. But she's a star no matter which way or what way you look at it. She's just going to build herself even better as to what she wants to accomplish. So, but this certainly, Jeff, is going to bring eyes to New Japan, and in a match that, you know, New Japan is a product that not a whole ton of people, I don't think, watch. There are hardcore people who watch it all the time. Now that it's on in the States, it's a little bit easier, but I still don't think maybe it brings, I mean, Kenny Omega, sure, he brings people to watch it, of course, but with her name there, I think you're going to bring a whole new audience to New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head earlier. And let me say this before I get into this. Anthony, you signed up for the lieutenants tier. We can message you on Facebook if you have questions and go over what you are eligible for in that tier. So we can help you out. We're here to help you. But going back to Mercedes, this may not be a very popular opinion, but I'm going to share it anyway because it's our show. And I really don't care what people think. So here you go. Mercedes doesn't need to do anything but what Mercedes wants to do. She's about to be in another movie called The Collective or something to that effect. And it's going to be like a major thriller and it's got some big names tied to it. She can be a star in entertainment. If I'm her, that's the focus that I'm worried about right now. The wrestling stuff, which she's great at, I think she's perfectly fine. If she wants to do more with New Japan and wrestling in Japan and all of those things. So, I mean, she the world is her oyster at this point. She made a name for herself in WWE, and you know, I credit WWE for giving her the opportunities that they did, but she also created a lot of those opportunities and capitalized on what she got, so she could be in a position like this, and that's where she is at this point. So I think, you know, she can do whatever she wants at this point. If it's being in a wrestling ring, if she wants to go back to WWE, if she wants to go to AEW, you know what? That's her call, and I'm here for it, and I just want to see her be successful. So
yeah, absolutely. You know, she could have chosen not to come back to wrestling at all, but she wants to further her career. She wants to make herself better, and I'm sure she will. I have no doubt. She is a special talent, and if she wants to continue her career in wrestling, I'm sure she's going to be successful wherever she decides to go. Moda says it won't be the only highlight of your Monday night, but it will be a highlight. She made the most of the opportunities. I suppose The Rock ended up on Impact, so who knows? Mercedes might. You never know. You never know. That if she does have a match, and if my prediction should happen to come true, and she does have a match against Mickie, it doesn't necessarily have to be on Impact Wrestling. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but it's very interesting. So, all right, Jeff, what's next?
All right. So up next, and this this is fun. This is a lot of fun, by the way. Joe, have you ever heard of a director of authority before Friday night?
A director of authority. Yeah, I the name is familiar. The title is familiar. Oh gosh, was this an amazing part of our I was absolutely stunned. Now, I can't say, look, I had seen in the news that Santino Marella was copyrighted by Impact Wrestling. So this was out like a little bit ago, but it was a good while. And to be honest with you, I kind of forgot all about it. And then of course, when else would he come out? Would be during the Joe Hendry match, which of course I'm dying because Moose cheats him out of a win. And I'm like, no. And then out he comes, Santino Marella. And by the way, this dude has a fire t-shirt.
Oh my gosh.
Absolute fire. You want to buy a new t-shirt? Go look at it because it's awesome. But oh my gosh. It is absolutely tremendous, and this was wonderful. This was amazing, and what a moment for Impact fans and for even the WWE fans who haven't seen Santino in a while. So it was so cool to see him come out, and he's wearing that DOA shirt. And then what did he call the when he said he hit him in the whatever region? I can't remember the term that he used now.
The
scrotitious or something.
Yeah,
oh my god,
it was hilarious.
And he's talking in the and oh my god, at some point now, unless I don't know, but unless WWE has it copyrighted, you are probably going to see some sort of version of the Cobra at some point too. Now, like I said, maybe it's copyrighted to WWE and he can't. I don't know, but this is so cool. Obviously, Scott D'Amore, if you don't know the story, Scott D'Amore is not around. He got beat up by Bully Ray, so Scott's taking some time off to recoup, and somebody had to come in and take charge of the show. And we were all wondering, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Gail Kim? Well, Gail Kim said no, she's not doing it. Well, who could it be? And we're naming names, and people are throwing out names here left and right. Who's this going to be? Who's going to be? Who's going to be? I can bet you next to no one said Santino Marella as the person that is in charge of Impact. But I absolutely loved it. He restarted the match that Moose cheated Hendry out of. Restarted the match. Joe Hendry ended up winning. So Santino's already made a major enemy in Moose. Moose is not going to be thrilled with it. But Jeff, it's so cool. And he looks amazing. And it's almost like they're playing him out to be, somebody mentioned it online and said it's almost like they're playing him out to be this mini mob boss in a way, with the way that he's talking and the accent and stuff like that. So I think it's fantastic. I always love Santino. Santino will make you laugh. And he's just really, really cool. And the fact that he's going to be in charge of Impact for the next few weeks, I'm absolutely thrilled. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I love it. I'm glad that he's back. I'm glad that he was able to bring the name with him. I think we're going to get some type of something with Cobras because we saw that on the shirt. Which again, by the way, go buy that shirt. Go buy that shirt because it's
so cool.
Yeah. So
yep.
Go buy.
Cool. It was just a wonderful moment in a pay-per-view of many that really had a lot of fantastic moments with Santino. Like I said, I'm thrilled he's back. I want to see what he's going to do. It's not going to be fun for a lot of the heels on that show. because if he's going to be the one, coming out and withholding or holding out up justice, a lot of the heels aren't going to like it. And so I think it's great. It reminds me, Jeff, of when you go back to WWE, when you'd always have you'd have a heel GM and you'd have the face GM. And the face GM would always be the one to, of course, help the faces overcome things that the heels are doing to cheat, and vice versa. And that's what we're probably going to see from Santino. So I think it's fantastic that he's back. It's awesome. I love seeing him back. Loved it. Yeah. John Kessler saying he loved that Santino's back. Impact took something away from WWE. They didn't take it away. They took it away legally. Yeah, he was able to. They were able to get the rights to the character. Yeah. Who knows how that works? That's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. It may have been out there because it was a long time since it happened and whatnot. So. Who knows how that all works, but yeah, very, very cool. A lot of folks hate on the comedy side of pro wrestling, but I've always loved it. Morella, Danhausen, Antonio Honda, and DDT, Japan, Microman, and AAA. Comedy wrestling is needed. Oh yeah, without a doubt. We talk about that all the time on the show. With oh my gosh, I'm forgetting that, with Johnny Swinger and Impact, and Zicky Dice, and R-Truth in WWE. Yeah, it's a very big part of wrestling. So glad he's back. My question is, how did WWE take Impact using Santino? They got the rights to it. They got the rights to it. So whether it expired with WWE, I don't know. I don't know how
it did.
Yeah, so there you go. WWE let the trademark expire. They scooped it up. There you go. Conrad straightened that out. WWE let the trademark run out. Thank you, RK Shuttlesworth. Moose was digital media champion for about 90 seconds.
Yes.
Santino versus Johnny Swinger in a Swingers Palace street fight. Oh, God. Should have been Mr. Kennedy, not Santino. Like Kurt Angle and Baron Corbin. I don't, it's hard for me to see unless I look really close, says Anthony. Happy to see Santino on Impact again. The trademark lapsed, says EJ Movement. Hand pink waving, says Jesse. Hey, Jesse, by the way. Heel and face GM was great TV, especially when Stone Cold and Eric Bischoff did it. Yep. Swinger is the truth. Yes, the only problem with comedic wrestlers is they can't be heels. Very true.
And I would disagree.
But yeah.
I would say that we can have comedic wrestlers that can be a heel. I think they could do it can be some cool stuff that they can do to ramp up the comedy, but also at the expense of I'm going to throw this at you since we talked about the Digital Media Championship, and then we'll move to the next one. But I'll say this: Joe Hendry as a heel would be fantastic, especially with all of his all of his songs.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Make those at the expense of other people, like he did with Moose.
But yep.
So
yeah, that's true. The entrance, yeah, they could turn him heel if they wanted to. It wouldn't be a hard transition. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Waiting for Johnny Swinger to con him into giving him a title match. Could you imagine? Mildly confusing with my screen minimized. Zicky Dice is a comedic heel usually. Santino was a heel comedy character. You can have comedic wrestlers that are heels, but it's more comedy tragedy like an opera, especially the independents anyway. Mercurio from the NWA is very comical as a heel. Maybe Santino Marella can manage him. Yeah, there have been some out there. Yeah, there have been some out there. So yeah, you can get, the personality is gonna make or break the wrestler and how good they are at what they do. So yeah, you can certainly do it. Are we doing a Hard to Kill review? Well, we pretty much did it after the show, Brandon.
Tonight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Segue.
Well, since
you brought it up, the last rodeo, the rodeo continues, Joe. We got an absolutely great pay-per-view with Hard to Kill that was capped off by a tremendous moment in the main event. And Joe, Joe had a great night. Joe had a great Friday the 13th.
I really did. I even got some. You know what? I was looking for. And a lot of you know, I'm a huge fan of Friday the 13th. And I did, and with the wrestling and everything like that. And I had told everybody I was looking for news about the upcoming Crystal Lake show. I finally got it, and Jeff was telling me to watch a video. I did, and they pretty much had said that there's two things that were revealed. Number one, they're starting the writing on it, which is awesome. Number two, that they are bringing back music from composer Harry Manfredini, who did the movies. And number three, Adrienne King, who is the final girl in the original Friday the 13th, the one who Jason, as the baby boy, or not baby, well, as the boy jumped out of the canoe or out of the water into the canoe and pulled her under the water. That's Adrienne King, is going to be back as a recurring role in the series. Amazing. So I did get news about that. So I had to interject that quickly. But yes, the Mickie thing, and I'm telling you, I wasn't the only one, because they mentioned this on Busted Open. They talked about it a lot, and they had mentioned the same thing that I did. I was completely fooled by this. They had me basically hook, line, and sinker thinking Mickie was losing that match. Absolutely, positively thinking she was losing that match. Everything to me pointed at it or showed that she was losing that match. Jason Stauffer is now a member of our channel. Thank you, Jason Stauffer. We appreciate that. And everything about it looked and appeared to me as if Mickie was losing, right up to the tribute that she did to her heritage in that entrance, which was one of the coolest entrances I've seen. Coming out to that, and the family being there and everything, I bid it. Hook, line, and sinker. I was sold that she was losing that match. Finding out that it was her 200th match in Impact, I'm like, nope, there's no way she's winning. So I was shocked. I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, when Jordynne Grace had her in that, she had her in a submission hold. I'm like, Jeff could tell you. I'm like, not like this, not like this. She can't tap in her last match, and sure enough, she ended up winning, and I was shocked. I was completely shocked, and it was a really cool moment because I just didn't expect it. They totally fooled me. And it was a tremendous show, and it was a tremendous match between who is going to be the future of the Knockouts division in Jordynne Grace, because she was tremendous in that match as well, and the current reigning champion, Mickie James, having that title again. The rodeo is over because she won the title, and she said how she was going to keep going until she either loses and has to retire or she wins the title. So was absolutely stunning and absolutely amazing, and it was an awesome piece of work by Impact Wrestling and creative and how they did it, because again, I did not believe for 1 second she was going to win that match. Did not, and completely fooled. But I congratulated her on Twitter. She did like the post, which was awesome. So she saw it, and I'm now curious to see, well, what's next. I mean, obviously we saw Masha Slamovich is the #1 contender. So is it Masha? Is she going to do some stuff outside of Impact again? We remember this time last year when she showed up in WWE with that title. So is there going to be some stuff like that that's going to go on? Is she going to make we saw The Last Ride. Well, now is this taking that title going to be, like I had mentioned, is she going to go around maybe now to other promotions and promote that Impact title a little bit, that one last time that she has it? So we'll see. But I'm excited to see where it leads, Jeff. And it was really, really an amazing moment at the end of an amazing pay-per-view that started amazing, went through the whole show. There were no slow moments in that show, and it finished just like way up here. Amazing night.
Even the match that was quote unquote the one where we got the more technical wrestling with Jonathan Gresham and Eddie Edwards.
Yep.
That match by the end had you on the edge of your seat. So to start out with Josh and Bully Ray, which, by the way, folks, if you're not Impact fans, all I'm going to say to you is this. There was a cheese grater used
You should have heard Mark Henry. You should have listened to Mark Henry. Is very squeamish and does not like anything horror. And the one thing he said, because Bully actually came on and was doing a phone call with them, and he said to Mark Henry, "Give me the good, bad, and the ugly." And he said, "I'm going to start with the ugly." And he said, "The ugly, the cheese grater." He goes, "If I ever see anyone use a damn cheese grater on themselves or on their head," he goes, "No, I am out." He said, "I'm 100% out." And that happened right after I saw that god-awful Evil Dead trailer with the cheese grater, which I did not need to see one again so soon. But, oh, my God, yes. Go ahead, Jeff. But, yeah, you're right. It was just, I mean, it was it was so good. Such a good show.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a great night, but obviously capped off by Mickie James winning, and a lot of people, the signs were there, the things were there, like you said, that was her 200th match in Impact. All right, there's one red flag. It's the main event.
Yep.
There's another red flag.
Yep.
She had the special entrance, which, like you said, was amazing. There's another one. The family was there. That was another one. Tara being there and being so emotional, and Raven. So they gave us all the signs where it's like, it's not going to happen. This is going to be the end, and it's not. And I can't wait to see what's next. And, I just personal opinion, I think it's very possible that that we don't see her and Masha right away.
Right.
I think it's a name that rhymes with Masha. I think we'll see Tasha come back into the picture.
Tasha
and
Steelz, yeah.
I just personal opinion, but I think that's a possibility. So yeah, I love it. I'm glad that the rodeo continues, and yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah, it really was. And like Jeff said, if you aren't watching Impact, oh man, you really should give it a try. I know that that people are kind of set in their ways about wrestling, and I had said this during the actual show. It's sometimes hard to join a wrestling show because you don't know what's going on, you don't know the wrestlers and stuff like that. But oh my gosh, the show was so good. And if that's any indication of what we're going to get this year from them, oh boy, it's going to be an amazing year. Amazing year. Deanna says, "I love how they headlined the show. Gresham is an amazing wrestler. Never seen a wrestler before with such ring awareness and ability to transition from move to move so smoothly." There's a Clue commentary where she said she lost to Chelsea Green in the same city and same arena. She wasn't losing twice in the same place. True. I'm not one of those GCW fans who wants to see that close up. Tasha Steelz could happen. Love to see it again, or someone new like Killer Kelly. Deanna says Tasha would make sense. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It was such a great show, and if you didn't see it, go and get it. They'll drop the price of it. They usually do on Fight, so go and get it. It's so worth it. It was really good wrestling show. So awesome. All right, man. What's next?
Well, up next is
we at that point in the show.
We are at that point in the show.
We had a lot of news. Whew. Wow.
A lot of news.
A whole lot of news. Yes. We are at that show that is everyone's favorite part of this show every single week. It is the time for what we call, and by the way, Jim Cornette, we know you took it. That might be my grievance, actually. The airing of grievances. So let's hit it, Jeff.
All right.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about.
Of course, I'm just kidding about Jim Cornette. I mean, this wasn't ours. It was obviously from Seinfeld, and that's where we got it from in the first place. And of course, Jim Cornette did too. Now, not to say that maybe, hey, you just never know. Could he have seen a show? We don't know what everybody does in their time. You never know. But it's certainly not our property to own. But it was pretty funny though. Someone mentioned that he used it, and I watched it. It was right on the beginning of the show, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do something." He was obviously doing it around Christmas time too, which is Festivus, and that's when this comes, or that's where this comes from. But I just thought it was a funny thing. It was pretty cool. A couple people told me. I think it was Derek actually. Derek was the one who pointed it out. So it was. It's pretty funny. But airing of grievances, Jeff. You have a grievance you want to start with?
It's not necessarily a grievance, but yeah, I do have something I want to share.
The floor is yours.
All right. So, and this is going to sound weird coming from a wrestling channel on YouTube, but I have to share this. We all love professional wrestling. That's evidenced by the fact that there are quite a few of you this evening that are sharing your Sunday evening with us. You've been listening to us for about an hour and 50 minutes at this point, covering wrestling news, and we greatly appreciate your support. We love the fact that you love professional wrestling. I'm going to say, and Anthony, I promise you we shouted you out, buddy. I promise you, but we will shout you out again. Anthony joined the lieutenants tier of our membership, so thank you, Anthony, again. I promise you we did before though, but I understand completely. But here's what I'd like to say. Don't be so consumed by wrestling and wrestling news that it causes you to get out of balance. And what I mean by that is this. I've seen a lot of people on social media, and go figure, Twitter, because it's just Twitter. That's the only way you can say it. Everything is a complaint. Everything is a negative. Everything is so polarized. And it's like you're staying on Twitter looking for the next controversy, looking for the next thing that you can gripe about, or whatever the case is. And I get it. Everybody has their opinions, and you have your right to your opinion, and nobody's telling you not to have an opinion. But find some balance. Do some other things that you enjoy. I will be completely transparent. Earlier this week, seeing some of the stuff with the WWE and seeing a lot of the news that was out there, it kind of doused the flames of my passion for wrestling. I'll just be honest. And I had to take a step back and like really reevaluate some stuff and really think, like, I get it, especially with doing what we do, we have to stay in the know and things like that. But what's going to balance me so I'm not so enraged about a wrestling take on social media or a report that comes out? What can I do in my life outside of that that's going to help me balance? And there are a lot of different things. There are hobbies. There's all kinds of stuff that people can do. But my only advice is enjoy entertainment for what it is. It's entertainment. It's meant to provide us with some joy, especially if we're watching things that we enjoy and that we like. Just don't get so caught up in wrestling, so caught up in spoiling things for yourself and spoiling things for other people that you forget to enjoy life. Because if there's one lesson that I've learned this week, and it's a lesson that you learn as you get older, because as you get older, you lose people in your life, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's, acquaintances you've made over the years, um, you start to lose people, and you start to think about cherishing those moments that you look back on and that you can't get back. So my only advice would be to everyone is enjoy it. Let's let's enjoy what we enjoy and try our best. And I can't make a change in the whole world, but maybe we can help spark a change in this community. Um, but let's let's enjoy what we enjoy and be passionate about it without being consumed. And I think that's the lesson that we need to take away, because there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world. And the news is just so depressing to even watch. I don't even watch it. Um, there's enough crap going on in the world that we don't need to drag it into things that we love. So like I said, my advice is to enjoy what you enjoy, celebrate the things that you really enjoy, celebrate the wrestlers and performers and the talent um, that that you love. Celebrate them, shout them out, and all that stuff. But just just appreciate life. Appreciate life.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, great point. Um, it, we do this because it entertains us, it makes us happy to watch it. We get excited like a kid would get excited when certain things happen, like I said, that match with Mickie for me. And then watching the Bray Wyatt promo after, that's the kind of stuff that makes you happy. um yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's, I guess, in a way, and I just say things in different ways and stuff like that, but I guess that's kind of what I was trying to mention when I was talking about the stuff with the Vince thing, and just trying not to get so down about it, because it just, again, it's something that is clearly out of our control. None of us has any control over it whatsoever. And it's really almost a needless worry in a way, because you're getting yourself down about something that may never happen. I saw some of the people, like Jeff said, and Twitter is crazy, but I saw some of the people who follow us on Twitter were absolutely going out of their minds. Like, oh my God, I can't believe this. It's so good now. What is going to happen? This is so bad. And it's just, like Jeff said, just sometimes just take a breath. I'll tell you this, and get away from social media. just take a break, get away from it, because it just, you have to understand the marketing of people behind social media sites. They do the marketing they do because now I'll cite here's a great one. Okay, I watch a lot of sports shows in the morning, and I mentioned Skip and Shannon. We've taken some of the stuff we do with our Sell or No Sell from that show. Skip Bayless made a comment after that injury happened with DeMar. Okay, completely. Now his comment was something about saying, he said something about how I don't really understand why they're not going on with this game. This game is very important in the grand scheme of things. And then underneath that, he said, although the player has to come first, or something along those lines. Man, Twitter went ballistic and was saying, cancel this dude, get him out of here. Like celebrities, football players coming out and saying, dude, like, what the hell are you saying? Got to the point where it's so bad that his own co-host Shannon Sharp would not be on the show with him the very next day. But here's the thing, and we're never going to know this because it's stuff that happens behind the scenes. But he got millions and millions of responses to that tweet. Millions, right? Now, all of it was hate because of what he said and when he said it. But what you can't understand, you can't know is, do these people do this on purpose to get the clicks and the likes and the attention? Because you know what that does? It's going to bring you to watch what's going to happen next. I can guarantee you, probably one of the biggest episodes of that show, probably recently in recent memory, and a rating, was probably that show that Shannon didn't show up for. The very next day after that tweet, I will bet you 10-1 that show killed it. They probably had huge ratings for that show because of what he did on Twitter. Now, are you going to turn around and say, well, that's horrible if he planned that? It sure is, but he wouldn't be the first one to do it. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to convey that these dirt sheets do. They want clicks and they don't care how they get it. It doesn't matter. Are they going to put out false information and mislead people? You are 100% correct. Yes, they are. That is how they get attention. And it doesn't matter if it's negative or positive. I had a journalism teacher tell me this in class when I was in school many, many years ago. Negative or positive, it doesn't matter as long as it's attention. And that's journalists today. And if Skip calls himself a journalist, he wrote a lot of books and stuff like that back in the day, I know. But that's what they do. And he's an older dude. I'm not saying he's right. And it was an off-color comment. And when he said it was horrible. But this is what they do. And they're going to try to rile people up because they want the attention. So yeah, but I agree with everything Jeff said. You know, sometimes you just have to take a step back and realize that, you know, that these people are just out to try to sometimes fool you. They are not giving you necessarily correct information. There are a few of them that are reputable, but not very many. And some of them are just looking to do it for their own gain. And they're the worst because they're going to come out and say any kind of garbage to mislead anyone. And it's horrible. It really is. It's not a good thing. But I agree with Jeff. We're here to enjoy this. It's entertainment. And listen, if you find yourself just in a corner where you're not enjoying it anymore, take a step away. Step back from it. Maybe watch something else. That's why we tell people to come out and watch Impact. It really is a drama-free show. There's none of this going on. We don't have to talk about the business end of it and the stuff that Vince is doing and everything like that. It's just a drama-free show, and we're just going and watching wrestling. So, yeah, it's great stuff. It's yeah, great point, Jeff. I don't really have any grievances myself this week. I'm sure I'll find one in the next week or so that I could have next Sunday. But yeah, I don't really have one currently. I'm pretty happy. The wrestling and stuff that from Friday made me happy. Of course, my favorite day came and went. I guess if I had a grievance, I wish there were more Friday the 13th in 1 year than 2. So there you go. So there you go. That is the airing of grievances segment for our show for this evening. Yes, we're moving on. What do we got up next, Jeff? We doing some sell or no sell?
Yes. Derek doesn't want to hear that, Joe, by the way.
Derek doesn't. Yeah, Derek is not a fan.
Not a fan of Friday the 13th.
Just not a fan, man. He said he was born in New Orleans and he has a lot of, a lot of stuff with that. Okay, I get it, man. I get it, but no, I mean, it's my favorite day. I'm sorry.
Joe, you've got another one coming up, and I think that one's going to be pretty big for you.
October.
Yeah, in October. So I think that one's going to be pretty big for you this year, buddy.
Yeah, what a day that's going to be in October. Derek, you better hide in October. All right, let's move on to sell or no sell.
All right, it's time to ring the bell.
Let's ring the bell. Ding, ding. There it is. The check mark or the X, sell or no sell. So we are going to go off and running now. We are telling you, for those of you who are getting the membership part of it and you are eligible to do this, you can be the person in the middle. You can be the moderator. Moderator position basically reads the question. So you would read the question. Jeff and I would answer, kind of go back and forth. But yeah, so that is essentially what you would do during this segment of sell or no sell. So, okay. Topic number 1. The best option for WWE is to not sell at all. Is the topic. So not sell at all. Jeff, go ahead, man. You started out. Sell or no sell?
You had to start with me, didn't you?
I did, yes.
You just had to. Dang it.
Yep.
You just had to. Honestly, this is the best option is for them not to sell at all. I'm gonna say no sell. So no sell means that we don't agree with the comment, Barry and Mickie. Sell means that we agree with that.
Yep.
So I'm gonna no sell that, and I'm gonna tell you why. I think that maybe one of the best things that could happen to WWE is if they sell it, because I'll be honest with you, and we talk about this a lot, especially with controversial figures. With Vince, I don't want him near the product, period. And Jesse brings up a good point, and I'm gonna bring this up. Obviously, I don't want it to be sold to the Saudis,
right?
To the Saudi group that people have linked it to. But I would say they need to sell it, and hopefully they'll keep people like Triple H in his role. People that understand the business. Hopefully they won't get a bunch of people that are entertainment people that have written like sitcoms and that kind of stuff like we saw back in the day. Hopefully they don't do that. But I want to get your thought, and then I have a question for you and for the chat after you give your thought.
Okay. So it's best for them not to sell.
Not to sell.
It's kind of confusing, isn't it? You're right. Not to sell, no sell, sell. There's a lot of sells here.
I get it. It's real confusing. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's best for them not to sell. I'm gonna no sell it as well. I think that wow, I just got to report this. So this is a football thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Ravens and Bengals are tied 17-17. The Ravens had the ball at the 1-yard line of the Bengals. They fumbled and it got ran back 99 yards the other way for a touchdown. Just letting you know. That's a crazy play. But no, I'm no selling it. And the reason I'm no selling it is because and again, like Jeff, I think I'm kind of picky as to who I want to purchase it. Definitely not the Saudis, like Jeff said. I don't want it going over there because that can create all kinds of problems. First of all, we don't even know what that would entail for TV deals and things like that. So that is going to leave a whole bunch of like craziness going on. So that I don't want to happen. But I think if Vince's intention is to kind of get himself out from under this, then I think it might be better left in the hands of someone else. And I wouldn't, I know a lot of people are saying, oh God, don't be Disney. I wouldn't mind it. They, like I said, they own so many things already. They own Fox anyway. So Fox would probably still have SmackDown. I don't know. I just think at this point in time, if that's what he's looking to do, then you know what? Let him come in, let him get the deal done, and let him go right back out of here. And then we won't have to deal with him anymore. There are advantages to it, and we mentioned it a bit earlier in the show. Things can change where they might allow different types of content. And I know that people are saying Disney, oh God, they're going to make everything kid-like and everything like that. That's not true. If you look at their Disney Plus now, they have the Deadpool stuff on there, which is rated R. They have the Netflix hero things with Luke Cage and Daredevil that were all rated R. So that's not the case anymore. They have stuff like that that's a little bit more mature content. So it's not going to turn into a big, like Roman would be a Disney princess. Yeah, it's not going to turn into something ridiculous like that. So I'll be honest, Jeff, I don't think if they do sell it that the people who buy it are going to make wholesale changes. It may be good for somebody else to have a set of eyes on it. The only one I don't want, and I mentioned this earlier in the show, and Jeff was laughing about it, I don't want the cons buying it. I just don't. That would make me ill. I don't like monopolies. And I don't want to see them own two separate companies because AEW is still very much developing. Okay. They've been around for 3 years, but they're still very much developing. I don't want Tony Khan to have a second big, huge show to have to worry about creating stuff like for that, because I think that just is going to be a mess. And I think it is going to end up making both shows suffer at that point. Well, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to just start splitting talent? You're going to have a draft that's going to put some of them on AEW, some of them in WWE. It's going to be a nightmare. And so that I do not want to see. That's the thing that I would be afraid of if it happened. I don't want to see that. But I think that there are advantages to going to another place and to getting it out from under Vince. So there you go. Tazzy's here. What's up, Tazzy? How are you? Okay. Go ahead, man. I know you have another point for it.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to stir the pot here. So I'm going to give you a couple hypotheticals here. Let's say that it comes down to two bidders. It's the Saudi group and the Khan family. Where would you rather see it go?
Oh boy, you're giving me the lesser of two evils.
And I'm asking that to the chat too. Because there's a reason why I'm asking.
Oh boy. Can I pick none of the above?
You if you just want to say no. just tell me no.
Oh my gosh.
Even though it doesn't answer the question, just tell.
I mean, I'm going to go with the cons in that one, I think. It's just simply because I think the reason there would be because it's just too unknown with the Saudis. Mm-hmm. Like, what would they do? We don't know what kind of TV stuff they've got going on there. I mean, if they bought it, like, where would they show it? Would it be shown overseas in Saudi and we wouldn't get to see any of it? Like, what? There's too many unknowns with that, I guess. So if you gave me that choice, I would go with the cons. So
okay. All right. Let's say AEW, let's just go with that. AEW buys it. Now, I'm not saying that that's what I want because I want it to be separate. But if they were to buy it and they were to say, hey, we're going to keep everybody in place as they are. Triple H, you run the WWE division. Tony Khan, you run AEW division. Let's say that they keep Raw on Mondays. They bring it down to a 2-hour show. But then you also have the ability to have some cross-promotional matches, so to speak. Would that make it a little bit more palatable for anybody?
Yep.
Would you be okay with that, Joe, if they did it like that, if they structured it that way? If the Khan family were to buy it?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing all of this up because I think a lot of times with this stuff where we get into the weeds, is the unknown.
Right.
And we don't know how a Saudi-owned WWE would look. What would the television rights look like?
Yep.
I mean, obviously, I don't think they'd take it out of off of American television. I think they would negotiate something with an American television
Yeah,
distributor.
they'd be silly. It'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, I don't, or maybe they take it completely to a streaming service. So who knows? I just think a lot of times we have to understand that there are a lot of nuances when it comes to business, and especially with deals of this magnitude.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know anyone in our chat or in our community that has negotiated a deal that's worth this much. I've negotiated deals, but I can guarantee you they're for fractions of what money is on the table with this. So I just think that we have to be patient as much as we can and understand that there are nuances during this process, and it's going
Yep.
to be like a 3 to 6 month process.
Yep.
We're going to hear names come and go.
Yep.
Of course, if I were Tony Khan and Todd Khan, I would float my name out there too. Why? Because that might get more people to watch my product. Like, oh,
Yep.
these guys are thinking about buying. Let me see what they have going on now. That
Yep.
kind of thing. So it's just
Yeah. Good point. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And there will be, look, the asking price, I believe, is $7 billion. That's not going to leave too many people that are open to doing that.
Right.
So, and then, like Jeff said, there's so many strings that need to be pulled, doors that need to be gone through with a big purchase like that. It has to go through a lot of things until that paperwork all gets done and things get signed off on and governments approve it and all this. Oh my gosh, it's a long process. So you're going to hear a lot about this. What I would tell you is trust the stuff that goes into businesses. So like trust your stuff that comes from the Wall Street Journal. Things like that are more reputable. Don't be so quick to trust what you see on Twitter or on the socials and stuff like that, because I can probably bet it's more speculation than anything else. So good point. All right, man. What's next up?
All right. Next up, we have this is a fun one. Mickie James is the greatest women's wrestler of all time. Joe, sell or no sell?
This is putting me in a corner here too. Wow. Well, let me tell you this. I do think it's so hard to say all time anything, because I mean, when you're getting toward all time, I will say this. We always talk about Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. She's up there.
Oh,
I do believe that she's up there. Now, is she the greatest of all time? That's tough, because man, you've got women out there that have done so many things. Trish Stratus has to be in the conversation. I mean, oh my gosh, going back to the Great Moolah, going back to China, going back to, oh my gosh, and I know I'm probably forgetting Mae Young, and that all time is such a hard word. But so I'm gonna say I can't sell it as much as I love her and I think what she's done for wrestling. I'm gonna no sell it. No, I don't think she's the greatest of all time. But that said, I do think, like I said, she's made her way to the Mount Rushmore. I do think she's top 4, top 5. And you can look at titles won, you can look at body of work, you can look at how many matches she's had. But the other thing you might want to look at too, all of the women that are coming up in pro wrestling today, and the ones that are out there saying, and not just in Impact, but in other promotions as well, are saying that they did what they did because they saw Mickie James do it. That's a testament to how good you are. and what you've done. So, people are naming other women wrestlers. Charlotte, yeah, there are. Charlotte currently is probably the best women's wrestler in the business. Currently, I don't know if she is all time, but yeah. So I have to no sell it because all time is such a big word. But again, I do think now she has cemented her legacy. That she is now up on that Mount Rushmore. And she's going to be, and I've said this, she's going to be in multiple Hall of Fame. She's going to be in Impact's Hall of Fame for sure. And she's going to be in WWE's Hall of Fame as well. So she's done a whole bunch for the business, and there's no denying that, Jeff.
Yeah. I'm gonna no sell it.
Yeah.
And this is no disrespect to her or her career. I think that if you were to ask Mickie, she would bring up other names too.
Yeah, I would think so.
I would even think that she'd bring up someone like Trish Stratus, who, if you think about Mickey's initial run in WWE and what Trish's star power did for Mickie in that storyline, I think, you've got to give some kudos to Trish. You got to look back at people like Moolah and one name that doesn't get enough recognition because a lot of people don't remember her as a wrestler, just a manager, is Sherry Martel.
Yeah, sensational Sherry, sure.
So there are other names that are up there for me. Yep. Like you said, Joe, if this question were about Mount Rushmore, it'd be a sell all day because she's definitely on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think with Mickie, she's great. She's going to be in many Hall of Fames.
Yep.
But greatest of all time, I just think is really hard to say. I think it's hard to say greatest of all time, especially given a couple facts. One, the people that came before her, there were a lot, and they were pioneers that led to and that's another one, Conrad, she's not done yet. So that's another reason.
Very true.
But I think, a lot of the people that came before her paved the way so that the women's wrestling matches that we get today, we can see as opposed to ones that we saw in the past. But another thing is, I don't think it's fair because not all of us saw the women that came before. Like, we can go back and watch now, but you can watch matches now, but it's hard to gauge impact, no pun intended, on the industry or the fans of those women that came before Mickie. It's hard for us to gauge that now. Yes, Dalton Riley bringing up Medusa, Alundra Blaze, however you know her, that's another name. So Baby Doll, yep, you see, that's my point. So there's a lot. So yeah, it's hard to say she's the greatest, but she's on the Mount Rushmore.
There's a bunch of names, and you know what? You can't forget about China.
Right.
And what China did for this business, because I do say, and you could say what you want about her, but you can, she paved the way for, some of these athletes today that are out there that look the way they look, I'm sure China was an idol to them. So yeah, there's just too many. You're right. But I agree. She's definitely up there. So, all right, what's next?
Dalton Riley keeps bringing up like Wendy Richter. There's just so many.
Oh, that's what. Yeah, you can go on and on. You can go. There's women in Mexico. Yeah, Mexico and Japan. You can go on and on. There's tons.
Exactly. I just named the American women that most people know about. I won't even get into all the other names and all that because all right, so next one up, Joe. MJF's Iron Man match against Bryan Danielson is the biggest match of his career. Sell or no sell?
That's an easy sell for me. Sell and sell all day long.
I love it.
Yes, it is. And I'm going to tell you why. As great as he is on the mic and as great as a heel we know that he is, The one thing he hasn't shown, at least now, I'm not going to talk about anything, but I'm talking about current. Okay. Not the past and not his history and the stuff like that, but coming up and when you go and look at his body of work, from just look at last year, and I had to look this up. But do you want to know how many matches he wrestled last year? 8. 8 matches. That's not a lot. There are people who wrestle every single week. There are people who wrestle every single pay-per-view. Now, AEW doesn't have nearly as many pay-per-views as some of the other companies do, but even still, he didn't wrestle very much. And the other reason I think that it's going to be a career definer is because he hasn't wrestled all that often. And I'm not saying he's not training behind the scenes or anything like that, but that's different than actually being out there for a match. And it's very different being out there for 1 hour with a guy who could be one of the greatest ever to do things like this in Bryan Danielson. So the question is, does all the training in the world allow him to hold up where he's not going to be gassed by a half an hour in? And you're going to find out. And it's going to be an eye-opener for him probably too, because if he gets to that point and he realizes that, maybe he's not as in match shape as he thought he was, it could be career defining for him, because he might realize that he's got a lot of work to do. He's fantastic on the mic, probably one of the best, but yet maybe the ring stuff isn't as polished as it would be there. And sure, Daniel can carry him, because there are ways to do that when someone gets tired in a wrestling match. So sure, he's good enough to where he could carry him, but the fans are going to listen. Fans aren't stupid. So you're going to notice if that happens. And so, yes, this is a big match for him. And could it be the biggest in his career? Sure, because he's a title holder. Now he's defending that title. So all eyes are on him. It's a very difficult match. Iron Man matches are not easy. And, just looking and seeing some of these go by in the last few years, you can see how the most fit physically wrestlers are out of gas by 45 minutes into the match. It's not easy. So if he gets through it and he looks good doing it, it's going to be a big notch on his belt, Jeff.
I'm gonna say that this is the biggest match of his career for some of the same reasons, but a little bit different take on it. So I'm gonna sell it.
I love it!
I think, and by the way, I got to say this. MJF has undergone a little bit of a body transformation recently. There are some recent photos out there of him like really, like getting into some shape that is like he's hit another level at this point. Not that he was in bad shape or anything before, but he's just, redefining his body, changing his look up a little bit, and I get that. I think this is the biggest match of his career because it will give him the stage to show people that he belongs in the same breath in terms of a match with a Bryan Danielson. Now, I'm not saying that he can out wrestle Bryan Danielson. That's not what I'm saying. But in terms of a storyline and as a champion, he can prove that he's just as big a star. He's the champion. He's the face of the company. Beating Bryan Danielson in a match that people are like, oh, well, that's a lot to that's a lot to bite off in terms of in an Iron Man match. I think this puts him in a great situation because he's got the mic skills. He's got the character down. He's got everything. I think he's an underrated wrestler. in my opinion. Just seeing what he's done over the years. I'm not taking what he, like what he did last year, the year before. I'm just saying body of work. I think he's a very underrated wrestler. So I think this is an opportunity for him to really show people, you know what? Yeah, I can do this. And not only can I do it, I can do it well. And I mean, you already know that at the end of this, he's going to put it in people's faces like, "Oh, you didn't think I could do this for 60 minutes? Are you crazy?"
For sure.
That's going to be his thing, and I love it. So yeah, I think this is a big match, but I think it's because this gives him the opportunity to showcase his talents in many different ways and really elevate himself as a champion.
Yeah. All great points. And it's certainly going to be a big match for him, no doubt. So one way or the other. So yeah, great point. I've noticed that Danielson is putting over young stars like Takashita last week, Bandito this coming week, and now MJF at Revolution. He's mentoring the next gen before our very eyes. Styles makes fights, and I think those two have enough of a contrast of styles to make this work well. Like how Mike Bailey was lifted to another level in people's minds in that match against Josh Alexander. I think they both lifted one another up in that match. But yeah, reminds me of Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart when they did an hour-long Iron Man match. Yeah, absolutely. You get the right business partner in there, and sure. And Bryan Danielson is certainly one of the best. All right. Well, that is our sell or no sell segment for the week. So what do we got up next, Jeff?
Well, up next, we might have a little segment called Book a Wrestler. This segment this week focuses on a returning star.
Okay. So we are going to book a wrestler. You can play along with us. Do the same thing. So when the name comes up there, if you were a wrestling booker, how could you book this particular wrestler? Would you do anything different? And there you go. This week, it is Frankie Kazarian. And ironically, he just came back on Impact Wrestling. So he signed with them a long-term deal, which was great to see. Was announced, of course, at the pay-per-view. He came out to rousing applause from the crowd. They loved it. Last we saw him, he was booked with Josh Alexander in what ended up being a fantastic match. So Frankie Kazarian, of course, was in AEW. He is now signed with Impact Wrestling, at least for the, he said a long-term contract. So we'll see how long that ends up being. But knowing that he's in Impact and the guys who watch Impact, how would you book Frankie Kazarian? So I will let Jeff go first. RK Shuttles are saying book him in a tag team, perhaps. Is it tag team singles? Okay. Jeff, what do you think? How would you book Frankie now on his return to Impact Wrestling?
Can I give you an opponent that I want to see him go up against?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Bully Ray.
Ooh, yeah. Well, you know what? Ironically, Jeff Bully on his phone call said that he's not leaving.
I didn't think so.
He said he's not leaving, and Mark Henry asked him, "Well, what do you got in mind? Are you looking at revenge? Are you looking for somebody else? Are you looking?" And he said, "Oh, I'm looking for revenge," but he said, "I don't know if it's necessarily Josh, or is it Tommy Dreamer, or is it Josh's wife, or is it someone else?" So there you go. There's the opening.
I would love to see him go up against Bully. Kind of a scenario of there's only room here for one legend, and that's me. Whoever comes out on top. I'd love to see him take on Bully. I would love at some point, and Dylan McClure is bringing this up. I think once Macklin becomes champion, I'd love to see Frankie and Macklin in a championship program. I would really love that. I could see him. Yeah, I think at this point, especially with what they did with option C, I don't think you need to go that route again. I don't think you need to go X Division again, even though he is a freaking legend. And I saw some. Can I? Maybe I should have shared this as a grievance. I saw someone on Twitter go figure on Twitter
right.
say, why is Impact bringing in all these ex WWE guys? Newsflash: Frankie Kazarian is a TNA original. He is a legend there.
Yep.
So let's get it right. Put some respect on the man's name, and let's put some respect on the company. He started there. Okay, he was an original. So I would love to see him. I think at this point in his career, I think he's going to put over people. I think that's going to be his role. I would like to see him have some championship gold at some point, even if it's briefly. I want to see him get to that point, because I think that's a good place for him. And I think that would be nice for him to retire saying that he was a champion at one point, the Impact World Champion at one point. So, but I would love to throw him in a feud with Bully, just to make things extra spicy as we get started.
Yeah. And now that we know that Bully's gonna stick around, that's pretty cool. So I'd go a little bit of a different direction here, but I think kind of similar to what you're talking about. But I would have him matched up with Eddie Edwards.
Oh, okay.
Now I know that Eddie's going to be in a program with PCO. We all know that that's coming. But I think down the road, and I just think because the way you can look at this is Eddie is certainly been the guy that turned heel now. He's not the guy who used to be the face of Impact Wrestling like he was. And I think it could be a kind of a battle where Frankie may want to come in and he might want to say, well, you know what? You gave up that position and now I'm going to take it. I'm going to be the face of this company, and kind of work it into that sort of thing where you're going to have Frankie saying, all right, this is my house. I was here, I'm an original. I was here prior to you. You turned your back on Impact Wrestling, and I'm here to, and then have the feud kind of start up that way. I think it would be a great program. I think they're two great wrestlers. Mm-hmm. And I just think that it kind of writes itself in that aspect. And looking at it from that standpoint, but the Bully thing is a fantastic one too. And it just goes to show you, Frankie's an amazing wrestler. That match that he has with Josh was absolutely incredible match. And no matter who you put him with, I think he's gonna do an amazing job. And people are saying Moose,
that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be really good.
Yeah, why not? Moose could use on some new opponents and stuff like that too once he gets done with this Joe Hendry thing. So yeah, absolutely, he would go very well. Oh, you know what? That might be a good fashion match, Jeff. The two of them coming out in the suits that they usually come out.
Man, the drip that these guys have.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, Moose with the suits and his shoe game, and then Frankie with his suits and his. I mean, we said it Friday night. The man comes dressed sharp. He's sharp.
He really does. He really does.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
So yeah, that would be not, and that would be a good thing too. I mean, yeah. I mean the battle of the suits.
Right.
Battle of the Suits.
It'd almost be like a fashion show along with a wrestling match. Yeah, that would be amazing. So Frankie being an OG TNA and fresh from AEW makes him a great heel to return to claim his throne. Hassan says, I'm back in. Good for you. Both sharp dressed. Yes. Be great to put over Moose. Bully was made a heel in TNA. Kaz TNA Impact Wrestling Classic. Kazarian versus Macklin in an Iron Man boot camp match. 60 minutes, most pinfalls wins, but it falls count anywhere and filmed on a military base. Oh my gosh, Dan, going into some detail there. All right.
Man, that's some serious booking right now.
That's some, yeah. Against Bully is a good idea as long as it doesn't overshadow anything else. Healed Frankie versus babyface Josh. Kazarian, I would put him in a feud with Moose. I'd have Steve Macklin be the one that beats Josh because a Macklin versus Kazarian title feud could be special. Okay. TNA Impact Wrestling signing them long term like the old days is great. Like it's not 6 months. Frankie versus Macklin. So a lot of you say Macklin and Moose. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there you go. This section we like to do every week. We like to pick a different wrestler every week. So please let us know someone you'd like to see. Who would you like to see booked on the next show? Because we do this every week. So let us know who your favorites would be. You can let us know in the comments on the video, or you can send us a message or drop us a tweet, whatever. Let us know if there's a wrestler you would like to see us book with the rest of the chat. So, all right, onward we go. Next is favorite moment. No, what to watch for, right?
Yeah. No, well, we don't have
That's right.
one
No
this
pay-per-view.
week, so
That's right.
so yeah, we're gonna go to top moments of the week.
All righty.
This is going to be a lot of fun, Joe. A lot of
it
fun.
is. Yeah, it is. There's so many. But yes, it is. So play along with us, chat. You guys tell us what your top 3 favorite moments in wrestling were this past week. We're going to start with number 3, so don't name them all at once. Go 3, go 2, and go 1. So we're going to start with number 3. And Jeff, what's your number 3 favorite moment of the week in wrestling?
Well, it was a stacked week in wrestling.
It certainly was. It's hard to pick 3.
Yeah, it's hard to pick 3. I know a lot of people are gonna probably have this as their number 1, but this is my number 3, and that's the Bray Wyatt promo.
Okay.
I honestly, what we got, and before, just as a rule, if you could share, like you said this already, Joe, but if you could share number 3s first, don't
put them all up there. Yeah,
share your number 3s first.
Just go number 3s.
Yeah, number 3s. But I feel like we got an acceleration in the storyline. A lot of people have been like, "Oh, well, he's not wrestling yet. This hasn't gotten physical yet." Again, going back to one of my original comments, this isn't for everybody.
Yep.
This storyline, the way that it's playing out, it's not for everyone, but the people that it's for, people are loving it. And I think the payoff that we're going to get in a couple weeks at the Rumble will be well worth the wait. So I'm gonna go with that as my number 3. Please don't beat me up. I still love them. Okay, I still love them just like you do. I just, there are a couple other things that were a little bit higher up on my list this week.
Man, it's almost as if like I can't pick just one for each one. Like I want to go ties for almost everything because there's so many of them that I could have chosen. I mean, I'll tell you, like what didn't make it, like the Kenny Omega thing, the match and I watched it, by the way.
Yeah,
incredible.
Great
the fact
stuff,
that he came out dressed as one of my all-time favorite video game characters from Final Fantasy was amazing as well. I love Sephiroth. I love Final Fantasy. I mean, there are so many like little things that didn't make it for me that it's just number 3. Oh boy, I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say number 3, and I know people will probably like this, but I'm gonna go with number 3, and I'm gonna say the thing with Alexa, because it was so anticipated. A lot of people couldn't wait for this as much as we got the Bray Wyatt thing, but I think it was a little more than what people may have even expected. And when she came down, there were so many little nuances with this too. You saw the jacket with the spikes that she wore when Bray first kind of like when he possessed her with the Fiend. So that was kind of cool. And then her standing out there and the little things that she said, I am the true face of fear, and all this, and just seeing where this is going to go. And then how she said she was in control. And then the screen comes on and do you feel like you're in control? And then Howdy comes out there too. So I just think think it was done really, really well. I think it's going to surprise some people, though, as to where this is going to go. You might be thinking it's going to go one way, and I don't think it's going the way everyone is going to think it is. So just letting you know, but I think it was a really, really cool moment. And I think, listen, like it or not, and again, like Jeff said, like he prefaced his thing with Bray with, you're going to preface it with this too, because it's not for everybody. And there are going to be a lot of people that are going to say, oh, brother, she's going back to this thing now, and this is going to be horrible and blah, 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 blah. It's not for everybody. But a lot of you I know enjoy it. And to be honest, she was in a place where they really, what did she have going? She was going back and forth. You didn't know what she was. She didn't even have like a consistent theme song for a while. Honestly, if she's gonna have fun with this, let her have fun with it. And so yeah, that's my number 3. Let's see what number 3 people have in the chat. Alexa says Brandon Wayne Lewis. We have the match between Braun and Gunther. Derek says he thinks he knows my number 1. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, says Alexa Bliss Gamer. Brandon says my number 3, the roast of Jake Hager. My number 3 is MJF calling Takashita take a shitta. Okay. Alexa's face to face with Uncle Howdy, says Jesse. Ruby Soho pouring blood on AEW Rampage Street Fight. Joe Hendry beating Moose. Great number 3, Dylan. I love it. Sammy getting a haircut, says Gus. Wow. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Mickie James winning the Impact Women's Championship on my friend Joe's favorite calendar day. Not an unlucky day. Number 3, Saraya and Storm versus Britt and Hayter, said David Paul. Number 3, Macklin versus Rich Swann at Hard to Kill. Sammy didn't get a haircut. Oh, yes, he did. He got shaved. Daniel Bryan versus Takashita.
Sami Callihan.
Oh, Sami Callihan. Yes, not Sami Zayn, Jesse. Let's talk about Sami Callihan on Impact.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan versus Takashita, says Conrad. Number 3 for me, Mickie James, was Mickie James winning. Danielson versus Takashita, AEW Dynamite. Candice and Rhea's promo, says Gust. Hard to Kill. Alexa promo on Raw before she met Uncle Howdy is okay. We're gonna move on to our number 2. So Jeff, what is your number 2?
Number 2 is going to surprise some people that have called me a hater.
Oh, okay. I think I know where you're going.
I am going to give the episode that I just watched of Dynamite my number 2 moment of the week. I can't pick one thing out of it. There were a lot of moments. One of the funniest things that I've heard in a while is even now I'm laughing about it. So Freddie Prinze Jr. was at AEW.
Oh, don't get me started about Freddie Prinze.
he was at AEW, and MJF comes out and cuts a promo and basically says that the only thing that you're known for is playing alongside a cartoon dog, and he called him a Scooby Dooby douche.
Yes, that was funny. I did enjoy that.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I did enjoy that.
Hilarious. The matches were great. I enjoyed the matches. I just really, really enjoyed this episode of Dynamite. I really enjoyed the women's tag match. For those who had complaints about the women's division, if you haven't watched in a while, start watching now, because that's changed. Not just on Dynamite, just watch now. Maybe you could have that criticism several months ago, but that I don't think you can have the same level of critique at this point. Yeah, that got my number 2. I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was really good.
There you go. Let's see. Gus says number 2, Candice and Rhea's promo. Hard to kill event, says Conrad. So the whole damn show. James Grant says Alexa promo on Raw. Candice and Rhea's promo. Number 2, the Elite captures the trios title, says Brandon. Yeah, we cool. I kind of almost expected something to happen after that because they were kind of taking their time at the very end of that. And I'm like, ooh, is somebody going to come out there? Because they kind of paused. So I was expecting something, but it was a great match. Great series, too. The Elite captures Kevin Owens, the Bray Wyatt promo. Number 2, Gresham versus Edwards at Hard to Kill. Sammy and the Bloodline ending SmackDown. MJF promo on Dynamite. I was thinking of the wrong Sammy. Yes. Bray Wyatt promo on SmackDown. MJF Scooby-Doo. That's what Jeff just mentioned. Tay J versus Soho and Willow. MJF with the celebrities. Sami Zayn's face during the brutal attack on KO reminded me of Bobby from Karate Kid and the conflict you saw in his eyes. Celebrity use in general on Dynamite was good. Santino Marella, we mentioned earlier. Nice. Okay. My number 2. Josh Alexander and Bully Ray. The first match, the opener at Hard to Kill. Very, very ballsy of them to do this. It was supposed to be billed as the main event. They went away from that, which again led me to believe that, I'm in trouble. Mickie James is going to lose. What a way to start off what ended up being a fantastic show. And it was absolutely an amazing match between these two guys. They gave it each everything that they had. Blood was spilled like seconds into the match. And then we saw cheese grater. We saw thumbtacks get poured into that ring. And it was just
Don't remind me.
Yeah, Jeff doesn't want to know about that. But we saw Josh get zip tied to the ring ropes by the goons and get stuck there, and you're like, what is going to happen now? Tommy Dreamer comes out, he gets put through a table, and then we saw Jade come in. Jade shows off her wrestling skills. She hasn't been wrestling in a ring for a good while. She shows off some skill, takes down Bully, cuts the zip ties, gets Josh out, and then Josh does a spot with Bully through a table and then puts him in an ankle lock to win that match. What a match that was. And Josh Alexander over this past year has had so many of them to remember, but man, oh man, what an amazing job. And so many people at Bound for Glory said, oh boy, here we go. Here come the legends. We don't need these guys in here. Blah, 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 blah. Well, Bully did Bully put Josh Alexander over. It was a tremendous, tremendous job by Bully Ray putting Josh Alexander over. And now Josh is just on another level. He's just on another level. And now it's going to be very hard. They're really going to have to work now to build up a heel to take him down. So whoever that happens to be, but it was a phenomenal match. Could have done without the cheese grater. Could have done without that. At least I didn't get a pizza cutter. But other than that, phenomenal match and a phenomenal way to start what was an amazing show. It really, really was. All right, go to number 1. Conrad has the return of Adam Cole. The Coug has Omega versus Ospreay. 10 out of 10 perfection match of the year. Very high. Wow, that's early on, Coug. That's early on. You're early in January. Very high bar that I predict will not be topped. I've been watching wrestling since the mid-70s. Omega's the best I've ever seen. AEW major video botch on YouTube showing ending before Rampage ended. Did that happen? I didn't see that.
Oh, wow.
Santino Marella debuts at Hard to Kill was number 2. My wife winning the Knockout Impact Knockouts title. Meltzer will be having you over for pizza rolls and Sprite with that take. Wondering if Jen would do anything. It's not like she hasn't fought in the ring before. Alexa Bliss segment with Uncle Howdy was number 1. My number 1 this week, PCO returning to a great number 1. Yeah, great number 1. Climbing into the ring while spitting all dry sand. Yeah, how cool was that? He's spitting sand. This dude, right? This dude has been doing this for so long. You'd think you'd seen everything, and then he's coming out like he just popped out of a grave. He's literally spitting sand out from his. That took him. Imagine what this is. Do you ever get sand in your mouth at a beach? It's horrible.
Terrible.
Right?
Terrible.
This dude must have put a whole big clump of the stuff in his mouth in order to spit that out the way he was. Amazing. I just absolutely amazing. Unbelievable. And yes, made me laugh out loud. Yeah, just incredible. It was just he's something else, man. Doing it at the age that he is, just an amazing. Seen a lot of the last 48 years, a lot of legends, but Kenny's the only one I've ever seen perfect the 3 verified styles. Sammy and Owens match, and specifically that moment at the end that he pointed out in his video. The rodeo continues, and the Bray Wyatt promo says James Grant, his wife, all this is watching Mickie James winning the title on Friday the 13th. Jeff, what's your number one?
Oh, well, it's not like we don't do an Impact watch along on this channel. We do, and you can call it bias, you can call it whatever. I just call it good wrestling, great wrestling. My number one is the entirety of Hard to Kill from Impact Wrestling. To start out the match, to start out the show with the match that we got with Josh and Bully. You get the crazy spots, you get the cheese grater, you get all that stuff. You get Josh being toppled over from a ladder, landing into the ring of thumbtacks, having one embedded into his skull for the better part of the rest of the match. You go from that to the 4-way tag team match, which superb. You get Eddie versus Jonathan Gresham. You get the number one contenders match for the Knockouts title, which was a great match. There were just so many strong matches on that card. There was no breathing room. I can, as a person who's been to a recent Impact show, I can tell you that when I left Bound for Glory, I was exhausted. And the reason I was exhausted is because there were no breaks. There were no, oh, this is a bathroom match. There was none of that. It was just all the way through, nonstop, action, nonstop, storylines, great stuff going on. And then to bookend that pay-per-view with Mickie James winning, defeating Jordan Grace, living to fight another day in wrestling. Hats off to Impact Wrestling. Hats off.
Yeah. How can I argue? It was just a tremendous show through and through. I'm gonna have a number one. I couldn't really decide on one or the other, of course, and it's 1 and 1A, but the 1 is Mickie James winning. And again, I don't really have to reiterate why. I just didn't think it was going to happen, and because they swerved me big time with everything that they did. And like I said, just all the parts of that match, the entrance that she did to honor her heritage was fantastic. And something that was really cool. The family was there, everything that went on, and the match itself was absolutely amazing. Jordan looked awesome, and it looked every bit the stronger of the two. Jordan came off as the one who was getting the bigger shots in and stuff like that. But on my favorite day, my favorite women's wrestler wins the title back, and I just didn't see it coming. And it was just an amazing moment on an amazing show. My 1A, of course, was the Bray thing, and because of all the facts that I said right at the very beginning of the show, I was waiting for what was coming and what was developing here, and were we really going to see? We all talked about theories, and is this Bray's 4 faces of Foley? Is he doing something similar to that? And now, after what he said, it really kind of looks like that's what it is, and that's pretty exciting to me to see about how this is all going to come to fruition at the Royal Rumble. So I'm very, very excited for that, and to see see where that goes. So, what a week it was. So many big things, so many cool moments, and you could see that by the chat. Like everybody had something different, and they were all great moments. Santino Marella coming back was fantastic. Some people mentioned that. Some other stuff on Dynamite that people were talking about. It was just a fantastic weekend. We didn't even mention NXT. Nobody,
Right.
there was a lot of stuff that happened on that too.
Right.
Just so many cool moments this past week. So, and if anything, I mean, we're only on really our first pay-per-view watch along. We've got our second coming up soon. If this is going to be any indicator of what we're in for this year, wow, it's going to be an amazing year. It's going to be an amazing year. Hey, Tazzy. I knew it was automatic. It said Big Dan. Yeah, I know people were going to guess it. Derek did too. Hey, it is what it is. It is what it is.
I would add this too, because I know it's been mentioned a couple times in the chat. But if you didn't get a chance to see Wrestle Kingdom,
yeah,
I know. Listen, I get it. It's difficult to watch it at 3 or 4 a.m. on a weekday. I get it. Trust me. Go if you get a chance, go back and watch Wrestle Kingdom. Tremendous matches. There were a lot of other things. Mercedes showing up was huge, obviously, but there were some great matches on that card, great moments. So go take a look at that.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, there you go. That's our 3 favorite moments of the week that was in wrestling. And wow, we are really over time. We we had a lot to cover, but we're coming to the end. So we have the lighter side, I believe, coming, Jeff, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right. That means the bell is being tuned up for Jesse Kellen. So, yes, this is the lighter side of the ring. This is the time of the night when Jesse will bring out her comedy to end the show. Before we do, or as she's getting ready, we first of all thank you all for coming out tonight. We really, really appreciate that. We know it's a long show. Thanks for sticking with us. We had just so much to talk about. Also, please remember about the memberships. They are listed everywhere on all the socials. If you became a member tonight, thank you so much for doing that. We really, really appreciate that, and we'll be talking much more about that. The people that are in the chat that did, and those of you who may do so down the line, we really appreciate you for doing that. So go check those out if you are interested. Please become a member. Also, if you haven't done so already, I think we hit 3,600. We did. So thank you for that. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our channel. Make sure to like the video tonight before you head out. Make sure to hit the notification button to be notified about when we have future content, which will be next one will be Wednesday. That'll be Abby's window. That'll be Jeff and Jody, and of course Dom as well. For Abby's, they'll be discussing everything we talked about with that really cool promo from Bray Wyatt and what is next. Probably they'll actually be able to talk about what happened on Raw too with Alexa Bliss as well. So there you go. And then of course Impact Wrestling on Thursday night, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is the follow-up for the big pay-per-view. So we will see where they're going next. What's going to be next for Bully Ray, as we talked about. What's next for Josh? Who's going to be the one to step up? Who's going to be next up for that title? And what are we going to see Santino Marella doing when he's in charge of Impact Wrestling? So it's going to be very, 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 very fun to see where it's going. 4:30 a.m. Barry. Yes, good night.
Good night.
All right, guys. So Jesse, if you're there, we're ready to go. I know we took a little bit long. We've been on for a while tonight. We went overtime. So Jesse, if you're ready, we're ready to go. So we want to get everybody out of here so they can go to bed. Heard the news of Jay White. Sounds like, there's rumors about him coming to AEW or WWE. He's already been back and forth in AEW and Impact and stuff. So, but yes, there are rumors about WWE as well. Okay, Jesse's all set to go. She's warming up the jokes. So here we go. We're going to get started. Gus asked when people join as a member, will it help? Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, we no, definitely not mandatory. It's not something we're gonna request anybody does. It's just going to give you some perks, get you a little more, a little more stuff than you normally would get from a stream. So there's going to be there's some things for Abby's window. There's going to be some special streams that we'll do that will be watch alongs. Maybe that'll be members only. So there's some perks for you involved, but it's certainly not necessary. Yes. Okay. We are ready to go. Tazzie's ready to go. Gust is falling asleep. Yeah, it's late. So who won the football game anyway?
Bengals won.
Did they win?
Yep, they won
24-17. Wow, that game was close too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Kansas City and Jacksonville in the AFC.
Yeah, that's right.
So there you go. Okay. Here we go. Number 1. What do you call a mobster who's buried in cement? A hardened criminal. Okay.
It's a good start.
All right. Kind of fit the theme a little bit. We were talking about mobsters with Roman Reigns earlier. Yeah. So, okay. All right. Okay. All right. There you go. Oh, man. Go Bengals, says Tazzy. Yes, they are playing Buffalo. That'll be a tough one. That was that game that was supposed to happen when DeMar got injured. So ironic.
Is that one at a neutral site?
I don't know that they had to do that. They were saying that they had to do the coin flip and do the neutral site. I don't know, to be honest, the answer for that. Number 2. It's a knock joke. Knock. Jeff, you're gonna have to play the other part. Ready? Knock.
Yeah. Who's there?
No bell.
No bell. Who?
No bell. So I knocked. That was good, actually. You don't get many good knock jokes lately. There you go.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. Hey, there's some good things. I know we talk pop culture sometimes. There's some really good things on TV this week. The Last of Us, the video game, that started today on HBO Max. I'm very excited for that. And I am a nostalgia guy. You all know that. I love the old stuff. Tuesday night on NBC, Night Court. One of my favorite 80s shows ever. Night Court is coming back, and they have, of course, they have it played as Harry, the judge, so Harry Stone's daughter, and then also John Larroquette, the actor, is back in the show as well. So big show. I'm really excited to watch that too. Number 3, the trouble with getting to work on time is that it makes the day so long.
I did myself.
It's a good one too. Brandon wants Bills Cowboys. Oh man. That didn't go well for Buffalo. The other
last time.
In fact, Buffalo never beaten anybody in the NFC East. They lost to Washington, they lost to Dallas twice, and they lost to the Giants. So if they look out if they have to play Philly this year. Yikes.
Yikes indeed.
Yeah. Number 4. Why didn't Han Solo? A Star Wars joke. Why didn't Han Solo enjoy his steak dinner? It was chewy. Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's a good one. RK Shuttlesworth, it looks good. If you saw the trailer for it, it actually looks like it's going to be funny. Yeah. The actress from what? Oh my gosh! I could think of the theme songs now, and of course, I can't think of the name of the show. Anyway, but yeah, watch the trailer; it looks good. Number 5. What do you call a parade of rabbits hopping backward? A receding hairline. There's some pretty good ones tonight here. Okay.
These are good. Yeah, these are pretty good.
Okay. All right. All right. There you go. I like it. I was one of those who loved Night. Yeah, I love that show. It was one of my favorite 80s shows. The Big Bang Theory. I just remembered.
Yes.
The actress from The Big Bang Theory is playing the judge. If the Jags win, Tony Khan gets a WWE. Ooh, that would be funny.
I would love that.
Could you imagine if that happened?
Please.
Oh my God.
Please. The football universe. Please.
Now
please
I
make
almost
this
want
happen.
that to happen.
I know.
Could you imagine if Triple H had to knock at his door and give him a belt? Oh, that would be hilarious.
I would love it.
Oh my God. Number 6. What do you call a steak that's been knighted by the queen? Sirloin. These are pretty good.
These are
These
good.
are pretty good.
These are good.
Good night, all. Jeff, check my DM later. Need your advice, says Derek. Good night, Derek. Oh man. DJ Bitazzi, I live near Dallas, so I'll enjoy if the Cowboys lose tomorrow to the Bucks and they go. James, you better watch yourself. You better watch yourself. You better watch yourself. That's kind of like me living near Philadelphia, and I can't stand the Eagles. So I guess I could kind of understand where you're coming from. Number 7. How much did Santa pay for his sleigh? Nothing. It was on the house.
It's another good one. Another good one. Jesse,
you're on a roll tonight.
You're on a roll. Butter you up because you're on a roll.
You're on a roll.
There you go. That's a horrible joke, but hey.
LOL, Tony Khan. Yeah, that would be hilarious. Oh
that
my
would be.
God, that would be hilarious. So funny.
That would be tremendous. Like, absolutely tremendous. I would love to see. And you know Tony Khan would just play that thing up.
For sure.
Like, he would.
He'd probably have a press conference making Triple H come and hand it to him.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, don't send it in the mail trips. Bring it to me. Bring it to us. Bring it to us.
Number 8. Here we go. What did one cannibal say to the other while they were eating a clown? Does this taste funny to you? We need to give Jessie more time off. She comes up with better stuff.
Hey.
Holy cow, just even look at James Grant said you're nailing it. Trav's laughing. Look at the whole chat's laughing here. Oh my God. That's really funny. Oh, that's so good. It's so good. He should bring it to Tony on Dynamite. Oh my God. Could you imagine if he came out on the show? Oh, then you could have MJF meeting him out there with a contract in his hand.
Oh Lord.
Oh, number 9. Why don't pirates take a shower before they walk the plank? They just wash up on shore. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. We got one more. We got the grand finale coming up. That Jesse, kudos. These were good.
Yes.
They were really good. There's another movie I have to watch too. It's on Peacock. There's a slasher movie about
Sick.
Yeah, is it where the people are stuck inside because of COVID?
Yep.
I heard it was really good.
Kevin Williamson wrote it.
Okay.
So for those that are horror fans, he wrote the first 4 Scream movies.
He's the dude who's writing Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Now I definitely have to watch it.
Yeah.
I heard good things. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
I've heard some good stuff about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
I'll give another recommendation too. The Menu.
Oh yeah, I heard about that one too. I heard that's good. Yeah,
it's on HBO Max. It's really good.
Yeah,
I heard Smile is crazy. By the way,
nope.
You're like nope.
Nope.
I just remember you sending me that clip of the trailer with the neck thing and the
when they're no. I do want to see the one. I do want to see the one with the doll. I want to see Megan.
Yeah,
that got tremendous reviews, like a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is unheard of for a horror film,
especially a PG-13 horror film.
Yeah. I want to see that too. Yeah. All right, number 10, the grand finale. How can you tell you're getting old? when you go to an antique auction and 3 people bid on you. Was that a shot at me, Jesse? Oh, that's really good. All right. The Megan movie, yes. Huge Pop Wrestling. Any advice to give to new wrestling podcast creators? Sure. I would say figure out where you want to start. Don't overwhelm yourself. We started kind of small and worked our way up. We started with an audio show. So I guess, do what you're comfortable doing. And the other piece of advice, and I'll let Jeff go as well with this. It's a good question. But the other thing is be yourself. Be yourself. I truly am who I am on this show. And whether that turns some people off or whether it doesn't, it's just me being me. So just be yourself and have fun. Have fun with it. Go ahead, Jeff. What do you have for him? Or
I would say do what you're passionate about. Don't, like Joe said, don't try to just dive in the deep end of the pool just starting out.
Right.
Start out, kind of small, manageable content that you can get out. The biggest thing, honestly, is consistency.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest things is just consistency. And the last thing that I'll say is don't feel like you have to know everything. Be willing to accept feedback. Be willing to own up when you're not right, because there are a lot of times when you're just not going to be right. You're going to get something wrong. You're going to say something wrong, and it happens. It happens to all of us. So, but yeah, just be true to yourself. And I'll put it like this too. And I don't just say this just because just to say it, but if you ever want more advice, you need any help, things like that, reach out to us. Hit me up on Twitter. My DMs are open. If you're on Twitter, but yeah, just that's really basically it.
Yep. You'll find the one thing you will see is you will find that if you're not being yourself, people will notice. It's very easy to tell when people are being fake as opposed to when they're being themselves. So yeah, enjoy. Mostly have fun, because
Have fun.
I know I do. Okay, that is going to do it. Great show tonight, says the Coup. Keep being the most positive, enjoyable pro wrestling show. Well, thank you, Coup. We really appreciate that. We tried to do that. I use Facebook and Instagram more than Twitter. That's cool. Use whatever works for you. You don't necessarily have to get on Twitter. It's not essential. There's other ways of social media. Get yourself out there. So use whatever works. Use whatever works. People do stuff on Twitch. Like I see you're coming from Twitch. People use Twitch all the time. So use whatever is going to work for you. All right, guys, we're going to go. We've held you long enough. This was a long show tonight, but we appreciate you sticking by. So coming up next for us, of course, Abby's Window is Wednesday. Make sure you join the team for that, 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It should be. We'll let you know in case the time changes. And then come back and see Jeff and myself and Tazzy for Impact Wrestling this coming Thursday night at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll be back here next Sunday for another episode of Between the Ropes. So have a great rest of your night, folks. Please stay safe, be kind to one another, and hopefully we will see you all on our next show. Have a great night, guys, and we will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.